एग्जाम्पल हो कि लायनल मेसी वर्ल्ड्स ग्रेटेस्ट प्लेयर, कितने मिनट लायनल मेसी बॉल को छूटते होंगे 90 मिनट के अंदर?
10-20।
पता है एक्चुअली आदमी क्या है कि लायनल मेसी को पूरे गेम में बॉल उनके पैर पे शायद 1.5 मिनट या 2 मिनट छोड़ने को मिलता है। 10,000 नाइट्स काम करोगे ना, आपका सक्सेस 1 नाइट में दिखेगा, जहाँ पे शायद आपको अवार्ड मिले, जिस दिन आपने जाके गाड़ी खरीदी या जिस दिन आपने अपने पेरेंट्स के लिए घर खरीदा, ये हमारे लिए बड़ी सक्सेसेस होती है। लेकिन उसको करने के लिए there are 10,000 nights which nobody sees। और दिल्ली का क्या है, आई थिंक क्लोजिंग फनी पॉइंट के वहाँ का कॉन्फिडेंस अनब्राइडल। भैया बंदा कुछ भी हो, कॉन्फिडेंस की कोई कमी नहीं है, कॉन्फिडेंस की कमी नहीं है। तो वो कॉन्फिडेंस शायद मेरे में थोड़ा सा वो है कि मुझे किसी से डर नहीं लगता कि लाइफ जो भी क्राइसिस फेंक दे भाई, फंडामेंटली संभाल लेंगे। दिल्ली के है संभाल लेंगे, उसकी टेंशन नहीं है। वी हैव अ लीड दैट हैज बीन लास्टिंग नाउ फॉर 15 years। अभी तक लोग कैच अप करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हम इतने आगे निकल गए हैं ऑन दैट कॉर्पोरेट रिलेशनशिप्स ऑफ ours that it's very hard for anyone to break that, because we are now just a brand। छोटी सी छोटी चीज आग लग जाती है, thanks to the beautiful thing called Reddit। तो आज की डेट में ना everybody is screwed all the time, let's be honest, right?
सर आज के डेट में ये बोलना that I am a creator is also something that's just like हाँ okay fine cool, because हर दूसरा तीसरा इंसान बैठ के फोन लेके वीडियो बना सकता है। Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dhairya Decodes Podcast। In today's episode we are going to be joined by a very special guest। We are going to be joined by somebody who has been leading two very interesting ventures for close to about 14 and a half years and 5.5 years respectively in an interesting space। And let me start with telling you that we are actually going to be joined by the co-founder of Collective Artists Network and Bigbang Social today. His name is Dhruv Chitgopekar। And to give you some context, Collective Artists Network, it's India's only entertainment and popular culture marketplace wherein they are trying to integrate and bring together investors, artists and brands. And Bigbang Social is India's top marketplace for the creator economy, and they're trying to enable not just all the on-screen talent that you see on the big screens, which is Bollywood celebrities to artists to content creators, but a lot more, even thought leaders. And Dhruv has been leading Collective Artists Network for close to about 14 years and Bigbang Social for 5 years approximately. And in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into his career trajectory, how he really got into this extremely interesting space that too back in the times. What has it taken him to be able to scale this talent management and creator-led economy-based business to the scale that it is at today? And we're also going to know a lot more about his personal life, a lot about the creator economy, and some interesting stuff. So, without any further ado, let me welcome Dhruv to the Dhairya Decodes Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
My pleasure. So, I think Dhruv, we've been obviously meaning to do this for a while, and I'm glad that you could take out the time. But before we start, and while I'll obviously get into the details and dig deeper into everything that you're doing on the business front, why don't we start with knowing Dhruv a little better as a person, right? So let's start with that. So, I mean, अगर मुझे आपसे पूछना था that who is Dhruv as a person beyond just the tags of being a founder, a co-founder, an entrepreneur, an investor, who is Dhruv?
Wow. Who is Dhruv? Dhruv is someone who actually is, well, first and foremost, I'm a very fortunate son. I grew up in a family where, whilst my father had a conventional, successful corporate career, my mom actually is an educator. She's a professor at Jesus Mary College in Delhi University. And whilst she's had, and as I was growing up, I was lucky to see her, teach and have impact on young people. But alongside that, she actually has one of the most stellar careers as a writer and a very deep expert in Indian religion. She's actually a hyper expert on Shaivism and Lord Shiva. She's a PhD in it. And as a young boy, as a teenager, I saw her put in the grind and the work to get her doctorate degree. And then I saw her sort of write multiple books, some of which are very celebrated. And then I saw her teach at Oxford and Harvard and, all of the world. So I was very fortunate growing up to have a very strong, many people are fortunate to have in Indian families, by and large have strong sort of mentorship and sort of people look up to in the dad very often.
Yeah.
But I was very fortunate to have both mom and dad, so we look up to, and actually the overachiever in our family is my mom. So we all have something
Really?
to forward. So that's a big part of, I think, my growing up. I'm an only child, so got a lot of attention from my parents. But so that's one part of what makes me. I think the other part that makes me is also I'm married to a clinical psychologist. So, so that's a big. People always wonder how that would work, but I met her when I was 23 years old, and that was a long time ago. I can say that was a time when concepts of mental health and concepts of sort of looking after yourself in a more holistic manner were not so spoken about.
Correct.
And I think that from a very early age, because of her, I got exposed to that part of life, and I think that really played a big role in, I think, my development. And you would understand this, but when you decide to start up on your own and decide to become an entrepreneur, I think there's a lot of you have to master the mind, right?
For sure.
As much as you have to master the external environment, you have to also master yourself. And whilst I don't think it took a long time to, and I'm not anywhere near mastering it, but I think the learning was certainly fastened because of interactions with my wife on a regular basis and advice from her. So two very strong women characters in my life have played a huge role in who I am today. But besides that, I'm a regular guy. I love sport. I love the world of entertainment. It's a big part of why I love what I do. I'm a father of 2 lovely children. My religion is gratitude. And that's it. That's me.
That's wonderful. And I think, while you were sharing everything, and like you said, there have been 2 very strong women who've kind of had not just a stellar career, but an impact on probably the way you think, the values that you've been able to imbibe, and just the way and the worldview that you've been able to build. I also wanted to pick on and understand when you did say that I've always been fascinated by the world of entertainment, right, in general. If you were to go back and, let's say, trace back and connect the dots, were there particular instances, if not during your childhood, maybe a little bit after your teenage, etc., wherein you felt like, was it films, was it just those grandeur sets, was it just the business part of it, the commerce bit? What was it that started exciting you, and when do you think was that interjection point where you realized I really am inclined or drawn towards this business or industry?
No, there were some very strong instances before I even got into the business, I think. So just to give you a little bit of a background, right? So after I finished college, and whilst I was in college in Delhi, I was studying in Delhi, and I grew up there. But I was part of a youth organization called ISEC, and I happened to have leadership roles in ISEC. And because of that, I was very fortunate to land an internship with the United Nations Populations Fund in Geneva.
Nice.
I got to go and live there and work there for about a year and a half. But during that time, one of my mentors back in Delhi, he was in a leadership role of a very interesting organization called the India Brand Equity Foundation, which was a division of the CII, right? And here I'm talking about the year is 2005, right? And anybody can search back and learn it, but it was fascinating for me. That was my first big learning point in life outside of college and outside of ISEC and what we were doing as a student organization, is that IBF's mandate was to build the brand of India. And that year in 2006 January was the World Economic Forum. Right? And I dare say that at that point of time the WEF was far more impactful than it is today, for reasons I won't discuss. But World Economic Forum Davos was literally one of the most critical global events that would take place. And I got a chance to work at Davos, and I got a chance to work as a just like a person on the project team to drive for the event execution of the brand of India at Davos, because India was almost like a partner country of Davos that year. And the line that they had created in 2005 for India, Dhairya, was India, the world's fastest growing free market democracy.
Free market democracy.
Now understand what they're trying to do, right? There was great amount of study went into it, but they were first of all taking on China, very clearly talking about the fact that China is great, it's growing, but it's not a free market, right? And they had to say it without calling it out. They had to mention democracy, because of course we are the world's, I think, arguably one of the world's greatest democracies, the way that we operate our elections and the way we operate, and fastest growing. So it had to be like, at that point in time, the BRICS were a very critical point. So we wanted to position India, I said not we, but they had positioned India beautifully as this was the brand. And I was like, wow, even countries have to brand themselves. You don't imagine that they're there.
Yeah, at such a larger level.
At such a large level. And it's amazing. When you're in Davos, it's a tiny little town.
Yeah.
But I remember the CII and IBF had like taken over the town. So you couldn't walk into a bar and not get chicken tikka at Kingfisher. When we were at World Economic Forum itself, every night was a massive India soiree. So everyone from Shabak Dawar to and you had like the who's who. I was standing there and like Michael Dell was doing the bhangra next to me, and this guy next to me was like going crazy about what it was, and that was my learning about a concept of soft power. Right? I realized that in the daytime I was seeing our country's leaders, Nandan Nilekani and Rahul Bajaj and all these guys we grew up to and looked up to as the stalwarts of Indian industry. I saw them on these panels and holding their own and positioning India in a beautiful way with world political corporate leaders. But at night, it was about India's soft power. It was about, I don't know if maybe this is before your time, but the first iPods were like these thin, slim devices. They were nothing like what you imagine now.
Okay.
It was just imagine something that looks a little larger than a lighter.
Oh,
right? Like that shape. And in that would be 120 MP3s that you could plug in to. That was like your thing. It was one of Apple's earliest products, and they preloaded that with like the best Indian music. And every single delegate got that as a gift.
Oh, nice.
Right, with like India fastest growing free market device branded on it. And I was like, yaar, ye Michael Dell ko ye ja raha hai. Usko excitement lag raha hai. And I literally saw him one of the days walking around in Davos with that on.
Yeah.
So it just made me realize that that was my big learning, that everything needs marketing.
Correct.
Everything needs branding. Yeah. You're India and you need to brand yourself.
Yeah.
So that really impacted me in a big way, right? And I took a lot away from that, understanding that I really found that intelligent, insightful marketing is a game changer, right? In the world of business. And I think that was one of my first callings, right? So I think that was one big inflection point. And I think then besides that, there were a few other instances, but for those of your audiences that haven't seen it, I encourage everybody to watch a movie called Jerry Maguire. It's a beautiful movie. Tom Cruise at his most charming, most beautiful self. But at the heart of it, it's a story about a relationship between two men, and then a relationship between a man and a woman. But the relationship between two men is a complex love affair built around sport and built around a guy who's an athlete and his agent.
Correct.
Right? And that was very, very inspiring. Like the fact that someone could play that role in someone's life, right? And I was like, wow, this would be amazing. And that was very, very inspiring to watch. And then I think just because of my love for sport, and because I've played sport at the school level and I've been at the college level, etc., I think I found that I'd always find the organizing of it, the marketing of it, the popularizing of it. It was always interesting to me, right? And then I'll always credit an opportunity that Mahesh Bhupati gave a bunch of us. Mahesh Bhupati is one of the legends of Indian sport, multiple Grand Slam winner, India #1 tennis with Rihanna Pace. And he actually is one of the pillars of our business in a company called Global Sport. And that's where I got my break. Right? One of my mentors from college, Sameer Gurjar, introduced me to Mahesh. And to that credit, Mahesh and the leadership then saw something in me.
Right, this was before you started.
This is
way before
we started the company. Absolutely.
Correct.
So I was there for about a year, and I got a job to do sales in Delhi. And that's how you start many times in this business. You've got to learn how to sell, right? So I dived right in. It was a very steep learning curve and a lot of कहते हैं ना बड़े धक्के खाए मैंने बहुत शुरुआत में क्योंकि मुझे लगा था मैं कूल हूँ मुझे स्पोर्ट्स एंटरटेनमेंट समझ आता है घंटा कुछ नहीं समझ आता था. I really had to learn from scratch, and I'm not educated. I'm a history honors graduate. I never did an MBA. I never studied after that. I've pursued no educational qualifications after that. So everything I've learned about the business, I've learned on the job for the last 20 years, right? So that was my first real break in the business, and that happened. And then actually, what I haven't spoken about a lot publicly is that in between that first job and starting South Collective, there was a period where I did my first entrepreneurial venture, which was a company called Mirabilis Advisory, right? And Mirabilis Advisory was an entrepreneurial venture which was aimed at providing branding solutions for non-corporates. And one of our clients happened to be the organizing committee of the London Games.
Okay.
And because of which I got to go to Beijing in 2008 and see the Olympics in the flesh and actually be part of. So what happens is that at every Olympics, the host nation for the next Olympics has a very critical role to play this Olympics.
Correct.
So you would have noticed that in Paris, LA had a huge role in the closing ceremony.
Right.
In Paris, LA would have had a full setup where it's like, come get ready. You have to brand yourself for the next Olympics. So
Correct.
London was the Olympics after Beijing. So we were part of the London organizing committee team to promote London in Beijing. Because there are investors there are bureaucrats there are politicians there.
Right.
There's there's all the key Olympic committees there. So you have to consistently navigate and build relationships, etc. Right?
Right.
So I think that when I was in Beijing, I was like, boss, I need to go back to sports and entertainment because that's the ultimate, right? And just to see the organization and see the marketing and see the thrill of it all, right? To be a part of it, I was very clear that, this is great, but I think I have to find my way back to mainline entertainment, of which sports is a critical part. That's when, journey, one thing led to another, and we got a chance to start what is now Collective, at that point of time, a company called Kwan. So, yeah, that's a little bit of
It was Kwan Instinct?
Yes, it was
Right.
Kwan.
Yeah.
So Kwan actually was inspired by Jerry Maguire. Because there's a line in that movie where he says that you're my ambassador of Kwan.
Kwan, yeah.
But the reason why Kwan became Collective is that the vision for Kwan was very clearly that we were a thoroughbred talent management company. But today at Collective, talent is one very critical vertical of what we do. But we aid and build talent through a lot of other things that we do, which perhaps we'll talk about later. But yeah.
Sure. This is so interesting. I mean, the fact that, like you said, you obviously had this thought process or clarity, I would say, for sure in your head that you have to be around, let's say, the entertainment industry in general and sports at the core of it. I think that was super clear for you from the very beginning, from a career standpoint, or what you want to pick. And then to
I'll
kind
be
of...
honest with you though, it makes me sound very clear in life.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I tried a bunch of things there, and I always advise young people that, it's okay to try and figure out stuff because at a young age, it's better to know what you don't want to do than what you do want to do. So you should know, I tried my hand as I joined a private equity firm for a year as an analyst, and I realized it's not my cup of tea. Right? I failed at my first entrepreneurial venture, this company called Mirabilis, and I say failed because I had a falling out with my partner. The business model wasn't sustainable. We were doing very cool work, but cool work means nothing if your balance sheet is not healthy. Right?
True.
So we were a very sexy organization. There were lots of people excited. We had some great clients in their Habitat Center in Delhi and a London committee organizing games, and we had some amazing clients. People loved the thought of what we want to do, but I think we were before our time, and B, as a young man, I had a lot to learn about entrepreneurship and partnership, right? So that was a great learning. So I wasn't so clear. I made a lot of mistakes. But there's all I feel good mistakes, and it's important to have falls so that you can hopefully get up and walk better.
True. No, but yeah, thanks for sharing that as well, because I'm sure that, like you said, I think it's always better to know what you don't want to do, and then figuring out what you want to do just becomes easier, right? Because I think आप elimination कर सकते हो फिर. Because I think in my life also, I was very clear with what I didn't want to do, and then people were like, how did you have so much clarity in college? I didn't. I just knew what I was not going to kind of give in my best at. So I refrained from going into those areas. So, but tell me something also about Dhruv. I think sports in general has stood out continuously, and it's come up again and again. You've spoken about how it's something you've played at your school level, maybe at the college level, etc. Did it come from anybody around you who you saw while growing up? Was it family? Aapke parents ne aapko, like, maybe were there some things that you just picked on while you were growing up? How did this inclination towards sports in general and the respect for the fact that, today, I mean, people look at it from a very holistic standpoint, why should you play a sport? Because it doesn't just help you stay physically fit or whatever and be active and on your toes, but also for your mental well-being, for better clarity. It just builds you into a different person, discipline, so many other things. Today, the conversation is very common, but back then, like you said, right from your school days, how did that mindset towards sports build for you?
I think honestly, your parents have a huge role to play. As young people, you don't have the wherewithal. You don't live in Europe and US where आपने ट्रेन पर करके पहुंच गए safe and you can go and play, और आपके locality में खूब सारे resources there. Having said that, obviously growing up, always encouraged to go out and play, always encouraged to go out and play actively. But again, my mom and dad, especially my mom, played a very active role in getting me out there. I had table tennis coaching as a young man. I reached Delhi number 10 randomly, and then again I was fortunate because I happened to have like a big growth spurt.
You did play sport professionally?
Yeah, absolutely. I played table tennis professionally till a certain age. Then I had a growth spurt one summer, so then table tennis became like boring and I wanted to play basketball. And every single day in Delhi, my mom would shuttle me up and down to the sports complex and just give me a big racket bag full of like badminton, basketball thing, taekwondo shoe, like dress, and just be like 1 hour of everything. Go do after you're done with school, do 1 hour of playing, 1 hour of this, and I remember like from 5 to 8 p.m. I'd be in the sports complex and nothing. I mean, I was good at some, above average at some, terrible at some, but I had a lot of fun. And you've mentioned all the most critical elements of the body and I think the soul of what sport gives to you. I'll tell you, and it's something which is spoken about randomly, say not from golf, etc. Some of my best relationships in life, which have led to friendships, which have led to business, which have led to people that I would look at and I would really, really cherish that I have in my life, have actually come from sport. One of my first ever investment in a startup is in a company called Router.
Okay.
And if anybody researches it today, Router is by and far India's leading gaming platform.
Okay.
Right? So if you know Twitch, there's YouTube.
Right.
And like literally after YouTube, from a scale perspective, it's Router.
Right.
And the founder of that company, we became friends because we started playing badminton together. And he was my partner. And truly, people say, but how? Sports will make you understand a human being and understand yourself better than anybody else. Because it strips you of everything. वहाँ पे reality समझ आती है कि बंदा, how does he deal with victory? How does he deal with loss? How does he deal with pain? In a very microcosm period of life. And it's not about, तो क्या होता है ना, धैर्य के sport खेलने की वजह से आप किसी भी इंसान के बारे में बहुत सीख सकते हो, राइट? क्योंकि क्या होता है कि इंसानियत क्या होती है? इंसानियत अल्टीमेटली ये है कि आप अपने फेलो ह्यूमन बीइंग, अपने फेलो मनुष्यों को कैसे ट्रीट करते हो, अच्छे टाइम पे, बुरे टाइम पे, व्हाट इज योर रिएक्शन, व्हाट इज आपका स्वभाव क्या है? और स्पोर्ट्स एक कोर्ट पे ना सब बाहर निकल आता है, क्योंकि अगर आपको कोहनी लगती है और आप गिर जाते हो, आप कितनी जल्दी उठ के वापस how will you get back in the game? If you're not seriously injured, आप कितनी जल्दी वापस उठ सकते हो? और लाइफ में क्या है ना कि लाइफ की असलियत ये है कि सक्सेस वगैरह एक्चुअली मैं एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ जो मेरे को बहुत पसंद आया, इसलिए मैंने सुना। पता है आपको पता है फुटबॉल के गेम में कितने मिनट्स का गेम होता है?
नहीं, मिनट से।
ठीक है, मैं बताता हूँ। फुटबॉल के गेम में 90 मिनट का गेम होता है। तो 90 मिनट के लिए 22 आदमी और विमेन, आदमी औरत भाग रहे हैं गोल स्कोर करने के।
राइट।
अब मैं गेस मारता हूँ आपके साथ, लायनल मेसी। अब आप मेरे को बताओ 90 मिनट में एक एग्जांपल हो कि लायनल मेसी, वर्ल्ड्स ग्रेटेस्ट प्लेयर, आर्ग्यूबली मे बी अलोंगसाइड रोनाल्डो, कितने मिनट लायनल मेसी बॉल को छूटते होंगे 90 मिनट के अंदर? छूटते होंगे अगर एक्चुअली टचिंग द बॉल, हाउ मेनी मिनट्स? मे बी 10, 20? Great. So that's a great, बहुत great guess. You would think कि मतलब at least 10% of the time the best players touch the ball. पता है actual reality क्या है? कि लायनल मेसी को पूरे गेम में बॉल उनके पैर पे शायद 1.5 मिनट या 2 मिनट छोड़ने को मिलता है। 90 minutes में the world's greatest player. The rest of the time he's just running, positioning, finding angles, making plays for. When he runs, he opens space up. He's strategizing. And this is not come from me. Sunil Chetri spoke about this in a recent podcast, which I heard, and it was so interesting. And he said, and for me, that is more than as much about football. It's also about sport. कि आप 90 मिनट के गेम में 1.5 मिनट the best player in the world gets to actually do something with the football. So what does that teach you again? Like in life, it's like आप 10,000 नाइट्स काम करोगे ना, आपका सक्सेस 1 नाइट में दिखेगा, जहाँ पे शायद आपको अवार्ड मिले, जहाँ शायद आपको आपका बैंक बैलेंस थोड़ा बढ़ जाए, जहाँ पे शायद आपका कोलीग आपके बोला थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग इन माय लाइफ, आपने मेरी लाइफ बढ़ाई है। ये लाइफ की सक्सेसेस होती है ना, जिस दिन आपने जाके गाड़ी खरीदी या जिस दिन आपने अपने पेरेंट्स के लिए घर खरीदा, ये हमारे लिए बड़ी सक्सेसेस होती है। लेकिन उसको करने के लिए there are 10,000 nights which nobody sees.
कोई बात नहीं है.
अब क्या होता है कि स्पोर्ट्स में आपको अच्छा होना है ना ऑन द फील्ड, तो आपको ये चीजें जो आप वो एक और बहुत ही अमेजिंग कैंपेन है जो मैं सबको देखूंगा बोलने के लिए. आपने माइकल फेल्प्स का नाम सुना होगा, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डेकोरेटेड ओलंपिक स्विमर्स. आई एम अ ह्यूज स्पोर्ट्स एडवर्टाइजिंग फैन. तो उसमें ना उसने कैंपेन किया अंडर आर्मर के लिए. मैं सबको encourage करूंगा यूट्यूब पे जाके देखें. उसमें ना एक लाइन है, व्हाट यू डू इन द डार्क पुट्स यू इन द लाइट.
करेक्ट, दैट्स सो वेल सेड.
जो आप अंधेरे में करते हो ना, वो जितना आप अंधेरे में करते हो ना, उसके रेशियो में आपको शायद थोड़ी रोशनी मिलेगी. तो स्पोर्ट आई फील टीचेस यू अ लॉट ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. हाउ टू गेट अप व्हेन यू फॉल डाउन, कैसे कितनी जल्दी आप उठते हो जब आप गिर जाते हो, आपका परसिवरेंस कैसा है, आप जीतने में आपका स्वभाव कैसा है, हारने में आपका स्वभाव कैसा है. when you lose, you have the ability to go to your opponent and shake his hand and say bye, win.
That's sportsmanship.
Sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is a very generic term, but sportsmanship के अंदर बहुत critical चीजें आती है जो आपको सिखाती है कि क्या है. जब आप हारते हो, आप घर जाके do you blame the situation or do you say I could have done better?
Correct.
And then comes the strategy.
फिर आप reflect करके the next day.
Also, you're doing it in a format of joy, but if you apply that to your life, you can take a lot away from it. And then you add that with जो आपने बोला कि आपकी wellness, आपका mental state, आपकी physical capability, and then you add that to, मैं बता रहा हूँ, आप किसी भी रिलेशन में देखोगे ना, एक कमरे में अगर दो बंदे या दो फीमेल फ्रेंड्स anybody रहते हैं sitting and talking, the relationship between the people who play sport together ना, उनको किसी की जरूरत ही नहीं हो, वो अलग से खड़े हो जाएंगे और 2 घंटे बातें करते रहेंगे अपने स्पोर्ट्स के बारे में. You don't need anybody else. So I think that sport has given me and continues to give me tremendous joy, and that's why I encourage it for my children. That's why I encourage it for many of my colleagues. And we were talking about pickleball and all that. I was just telling you that, you know, judgments aside, I'm just happy that more people are playing sport.
Whatever may be the cause of it. But बहुत interesting, I think, insight थी. And the fact that you told me that I'm still thinking कि 90 minutes के game में he's literally just touching the ball for 90 seconds. So भाई मतलब it just goes on to show that at the end of the day, to get to that goal, right? वो goal मारने के लिए there is so much of work that needs to be done, and that is where the actual game is played, right?
Yes.
And that's extremely interesting. But इसके साथ ध्रुव, अब आप मुझे ये बताओ कि I want to also know कि आपने, I saw DPS Arkepuram and then you went to Sri Venkateshwar College in Delhi. A proper, you know, Delhi boy, I think, through and through. You've been in Delhi इतने time के लिए. And फिर you come into this industry, which is, again, मैं ये नहीं बोलूँगी it's dominated, but the industry is in Bombay per se, right? The media industry, Bollywood is based here. इतने साल staying in a city like Delhi, and this Delhi-Bombay debate everybody knows. I'll get to that also later, but I want to know कि मुझे आपसे जानना है, staying in a city like Delhi for your formative years इतने सालों के लिए, and then coming to Bombay, and इधर आपने अपना base set किया, you've built a company 14 साल से, you're running it. What did you take from, you know, what you learned from Delhi as a city and your years there, and then how was it adapting Delhi से Bombay आना? Because I'm sure people talk about it a lot, but I also feel, although I've not lived in Delhi, मैं बहुत travel करती हूँ, I genuinely feel कि both of the cities have their own charm in a very different way. I don't know, I cannot compare them personally. Would you have actually lived there and above Bombay में हो? How is it like for you, the relationship?
So Dhairya, it's a great question in a different light, right? I think that basically Delhi का क्या है कि हाँ, fundamental differences क्या जो मुझे लगती है is that and I'll only talk about the scope of building an organization, right? Company बनाने के दौर से I think कि Delhi में I think that, okay, let me start. In Bombay, I feel like there is a culture of, एक कल्चर है यहाँ पे जहाँ लोग आते हैं अलग अलग शहरों से अपना करियर बनाने के लिए. लोग समझते हैं कि बॉम्बे में जाके वो that concept of struggle is not just a film concept. It's not just the film industry. I think a lot of young people come to Bombay for यहाँ आते हैं for those opportunities, and I think that वो opportunities के दौर से they figure life out, and I think that's why they have a lot of love for Bombay. Young people be like that age of 23 to 28, now that pivotal time, post college, post grad. I think Bombay is built again because of public infrastructure, because of, and at that time there was nowhere near the metros and the rails and all that you have today, but you always had autos, you always had public transport and slightly more affordable things. Right? In Delhi, the truth of the matter is that it is a little bit more built for a certain level of privilege, at least from the privilege that I come from. That's the truth. Right? Yeah. When I was growing up, the Delhi metro was still getting set. And you know, public infrastructure has a huge role to play in cities becoming great. Yeah. Because it democratizes the city. अगर कोई बंदा बहुत दूर रहता है, लेकिन उसका काम वो यहाँ रहता है, उसका काम यहाँ पे है, the decision to take that job or not, even if it's a great job, is very built on whether they can make it to office under 1 hour or not. Yeah. Because that's a huge role to play.
For sure.
In Bombay, nobody thinks about it. लोग रहते हैं कहाँ कोई नहीं सोचता. और शायद वो सोचते भी होंगे तो वो privilege वाले लोग हैं. जिनको काम करना है, जिनको struggle करना है, वो सब करते हैं, right? True. So I think that at a mentality level, I feel like the concept of hard work. It's not like Delhi people don't work hard. Young people, they do. It's a different kind of hard work. Bombay people work at a very different kind of hard work. I think the concept of rolling your sleeves up and getting into the dirt, वो एकदम घुस के ना मैं कुछ भी करूँगा to get it done. That mentality I think is over here. Having said that, I started the company in 2009 with my partners, and I continued to stay in Delhi for the first 4 years. So I was shuttling between Delhi and Bombay twice a month, sometimes more. I would do 1 week in Bombay, 1 week in Delhi, 1 week in Bombay, 1 week in Delhi, and I did that for a very long time. But I built the Delhi office from scratch in 2009. So I built a team which is still there. And those guys are, you can put them anywhere. You can put them in Bombay, Bangalore, London, Singapore, San Francisco, they'll succeed. Because the fundamentals of, I think, what they are is that work ethic. I think what we stand for as a company is why they've been around for 10, 12 years. Right? Yeah. So, but having said that, and they'll hate it when I say this because there's always joke in my company that, you know, oh, Dhruv has forgotten Delhi, and you know, there's a big banter between all of us. But I have a deep love for that team because I feel like Delhi has that very strong sense of community and there's a natural sense of family.
They do.
यहाँ पे बॉम्बे
में I can see that.
आप काम करो, which is great. Delhi में अगर आप किसी से काम करने लग गए ना, तो whether you like it or not, you're looking out for that person beyond work.
Correct.
आप family में बन गए हो, आप मेरी Delhi में
they go over and beyond.
बिल्कुल.
For sure.
तो I think उसके अपने advantages हैं, इसके अपने advantages हैं. I think the beauty of building companies in different cities is that you embrace the culture that is what that city has to offer. Yeah. And then you as a company have to set certain fundamental ethics and values that are non-negotiable. अब आप दिल्ली में हो, आप दुबई में हो, आप बैंगलोर में हो, ये fundamentals तो नहीं. तो ये मेरी लर्निंग है. और दिल्ली का क्या है, आई थिंक है ना, क्लोजिंग फनी पॉइंट के वहाँ का कॉन्फिडेंस अनब्राइडल्ड है. भैया बंदा कुछ भी हो, कॉन्फिडेंस की कोई कमी नहीं है. कॉन्फिडेंस की कमी नहीं है. तो वो कॉन्फिडेंस शायद मेरे में थोड़ा सा वो है कि मुझे किसी से डर नहीं लगता. मुझे वो है कि लाइफ जो भी क्राइसिस फेंक दे भाई, फंडामेंटली संभाल लेंगे. दिल्ली के हैं, संभाल लेंगे, उसकी टेंशन नहीं है. एंड यू कंबाइन दैट विद बॉम्बे's never say die attitude. I think I've been very blessed. I'm very blessed. This works.
Wonderful. But I think that's a very interesting perspective also. I really like the fact that, like you said, the community aspect, I do, even from a creator economy standpoint, right? मैंने देखा है, I've genuinely seen it, and I see this to all of my creator friends also. Yeah. The way the creator community is also just together, and the way, it's not just for, you know, oh, you're networking or chit-chatting or just for exchange and transactional behavior, itna zyada nahi hai. It's genuine connection. That you may, I think Bombay is more restricted to just, okay, done with your work, done, you just, you know, bounce. Yeah. So I think wo difference I have seen, and I agree with you on that. Uske saath, on that note, Dhruv, very interestingly, I would also like to know कि जब आपने company build करना start किया, like you said, आप Delhi और Bombay के बीच में shuttle कर रहे थे, and then you were building the team first out of Delhi office, etc. Yeah. मुझे थोड़ा ये बताओ that when you were building a talent management focused company उस time पे, right? Because it started with talent management as the core focus. Yeah. What do you think initial challenges क्या face किया आपने with respect to just building for a space? I also feel as a company you were way ahead of your time. I don't know, I may be wrong, whatever. But मुझे लगता है उस time पे 14 years ago इतना futuristically देखना that okay, maybe probably from an entertainment industry standpoint, yes, it's been there for years. Yeah. But holistically, the way it has been built today, why did you even want to venture into talent management specifically? And at that time, did you have any players around जो which were major industry players, and how was the journey like to be able to compete with them, or let's say make your own holding, or hold your ground in the industry?
Yeah, no, there were players. I
Okay.
they've never been. It's never been an industry of the size where you had 50, 60 companies in the talent management space. Because asli baat ye hai ki talent management is probably one of the most there's IQ and there's EQ. I strongly believe that this is one of the jobs which is in the service industry is one of the most demanding on both at the same time, because your product is a human being, and a human being has flaws, and a human being has mood swings, and a human being has their own insecurities, and talent, especially talent at the absolute most magnified levels, like film industry, like sports industry. I say it very honestly to my friends, my family and my talent के आज की डेट में अगर कोई एक्ट्रेस है या कोई एक्टर है या कोई इंडिया के लिए क्रिकेट खेल रहा है, and I've had the pleasure of representing all such people, right?
Yeah.
There is a certain जुनून.
Yeah.
एक जुनून है, एक पागलपन, और वो एक्सेप्ट करना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि आप सुबह उठ के बोल रहे हो कि मैं 150 करोड़ लोगों के बीच में I'm going to be one person.
Correct.
Like, imagine the madness to wake up in the morning to say I am going to be that one person, to be in that magnifying glass. तो उसको संभालना, उसको navigate करना, उसको advice देना, उसको ठहराव में रखना, I think वो चीजें those are the fundamentals of the job, right? So to answer your question, I think that what I feel very, very strongly is that when we were starting out, we decided to not, like, we were not from the industry. तो हमारे कोई connections नहीं थे.
कोई connections नहीं.
तो हमारे मेरा background था कि मैंने ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट में थोड़ा काम किया था, मुझे लोग थोड़ा सा जानते थे, और मेरी सबसे बड़ी लर्निंग ये थी कि अगर मेरे connections नहीं है तो मुझे सारा फोकस करना चाहिए purely on delivery, काम. How can I be the best sales guy in the country?
Okay.
या कोई talent में से जुड़ गया, उनको पता है कि मेरा I will be sold well, and that's that is a competition that I felt I could win. A competition to say, oh, will you be invited to a top actor's birthday party? I can't win that competition because I don't know that person. I don't know them that well. Yeah. I'm not from this town. I don't have those connections. I will not be at those parties. I will not be in those insider places. And it's a very, the traditional talent which people like you have broken.
Correct.
But the traditional talent world is a very closed community.
It is.
Okay, the barrier for entry.
You have to, the barrier for entry is
very hard. Right?
Yeah.
एक बार आप वो barrier तोड़ देते हो तो आप बहुत privileged और बहुत opportunistic space में आ जाते हो, लेकिन वो barrier तोड़ना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. तो वो barrier हमारे लिए उस space पे तोड़ना तो impossible था. तो हमने बोला ठीक है, हमारा उससे बड़ा what's the other opportunity?
Correct.
तो the reason I stayed in Delhi when we started the company is that हमने एक opportunity देखी कि सबसे बड़ी कॉर्पोरेट स्पेंडिंग इंडिया में बॉम्बे से नहीं हो रही थी, दिल्ली से हो रही थी, बिकॉज सारे बड़े कॉर्पोरेट्स उस टाइम पे और अभी भी वो 5 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर गुड़गांव में सारे टॉप कॉर्पोरेट्स वहां पे. करेक्ट. तो मैंने बोला कि लेट मी बिकम एंड लेट माय टीम बिकम द बेस्ट सेल्स गाइज इन द एंटायर इंडस्ट्री. और मैंने देखा कि कोई भी और एजेंसी ने दिल्ली में ऑफिस खोला ही नहीं था, क्योंकि सबको लगता था कि टैलेंट से क्लोज रखोगे तो आपका ज्यादा बढ़ेगा, लेकिन टैलेंट को आपसे दोस्ती नहीं करनी, टैलेंट को अपना धंधा चाहिए. ठीक है, दैट्स द फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट शुड लर्न. टैलेंट वॉन्ट्स टू सी बिजनेस. उसके बाद आपकी दोस्त बन गया वो अलग बात है. पहले भैया आप धंधा लेके आओ. तो ऐसे ठीक है, मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के गुड़गांव के चक्कर काटता हूँ और एवरी टॉप ब्रांड मैनेजर से ऐसा रिलेशनशिप बनाता हूँ तो उनको लगना चाहिए कि अगर हमें पॉपुलर कल्चर एंटरटेनमेंट में कुछ करना है तो ध्रुव और उसकी टीम से बात करना चाहिए. तो मैंने 5 साल बस ये किया, एवरी सिंगल डे 10 hours a day, literally this was my job. And I mean to our credit, and I think the business was at the right time. Yeah. We have a lead that has been lasting now for 15 years. अभी तक लोग catch up करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हम इतने आगे निकल गए हैं on that corporate relationships of ours that it's very hard for anyone to break that, because we are now just a brand. Everybody just knows कि यार if you want to access pop culture, collectives को बात करनी होगी, और अब Bigbang Social से बात करनी होगी, creators से बात करनी. तो वो corporate brand I think हमने 15 साल तोड़ के रगड़ बनाया है. But that was one of my big moats. And then what happened is in 2014, once the business had reached a certain size, I realized that I needed more face time with clients myself. Correct. This was the epicenter of then the business, which was cinema, etc. Yeah. And most importantly, मेरी team Delhi में बन गई.
Okay.
मुझे पता था कि मैं वहाँ पे लोगों को एक हैंडओवर दे सकता हूँ और मैं उनके साथ जाके I can leave them to run the business.
Got it.
And that was my other learning early there, that every job you do, कोई भी काम आप करते हो, उसका सक्सेस ये है कि आप अपने आप को कैन यू मेक योरसेल्फ इररिलेवेंट. तो मेरा
अगर आपके बिना भी आपका बिजनेस चल सकता
मैं अगर निकल जाऊँ बिजनेस चल सकता है कि
हाँ.
अगर आपने ये कर दिया तो आपको पता है कि आप फिर अगली चीज में इन्वॉल्व हो सकते हो. एंड आई समहाउ हैव ऑलवेज बिलीव दैट. मैं आज भी वही चीज ट्राई कर रहा हूँ कि जो मैं काम आज करता हूँ मेरी टीम मेरे को इररिलेवेंट बना सकते है कि नहीं. कितनी जल्दी इट्स नॉट क्यों करेंगे, ऑफ कोर्स करेंगे, कितनी जल्दी उनकी लर्निंग तब आएगी. तो फिर उसकी वजह से मैं कुछ नया करूंगा. राइट. एंड दैट्स समथिंग दैट आई ऑलवेज बिलीव्ड इन. उसके लिए बहुत चीजें मेंटली सिक्योरिटी यू हैव टू बिल्ड फॉर योरसेल्फ, बट दैट्स द वे यू हैव टू वर्क.
But don't you think, like, I was just thinking, मैं यही सोच रही थी, obviously, for me at an individual level, it's not at the scale at which you are operating the company at, but I'll personally tell you, every time that I think, and obviously, मेरा काम भी and what I do as an entrepreneur and as a creator, it is delegated pretty much.
जी.
But मुझे आज भी बहुत डर लगता है to give away the, I don't know, it's not authority, power or control. Sometimes you're just like, I would want to do this, but आप सब नहीं कर सकते हो obviously. If you have to scale, आप सब नहीं कर सकते हो. How do you choose कि अब time आ गया है that you delegate and you shouldn't be doing this, because obviously you being the founder also or whatever आप सब वैसे भी नहीं कर सकते हो. But how do you still know even after scaling it to a certain level, इस level पे भी ये तो मुझे ही करना है फिर भी.
देखो क्या होता है, एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है लॉन्ग लीश.
Long leash.
लॉन्ग लीश क्या मतलब होता है दैट if you have a pet, you have a dog, right? And I don't mean to say that's how it is, but this example is that आपने लीश पे डाला हुआ है, because आपने कंट्रोल रखा हुआ है उस सिचुएशन पे, लेकिन आपका लीश बहुत लंबा है.
ठीक है.
तो वो लीश पे the pet can go as far as it wants to go.
Correct.
लेकिन अगर कुछ प्रॉब्लम होती है, आपने लीश अभी पकड़ा हुआ है. So I think that you have to allow for your teams, and देखो आपकी सिचुएशन थोड़ी अलग है because आप एक हाइपर एंटरप्रेन्योर, आप everything revolves around you and your face.
Correct.
I can be faceless because there's an organization.
Yeah.
There's a slightly different character.
Yeah.
मैं आपके भी एग्जाम्पल के दौर से बोलूंगा कि आपको अपने लाइफ में जितनी चीजें आप ऑटोमेट कर सकते हो, जितनी चीजें आप डेलीगेट कर सकते हो, उतना अच्छा है. अगर आपको एडिटिंग से बहुत प्यार है, आप ट्राई करो कि अगर आपका टाइम 80% जा रहा है एडिटिंग पे, एवरी ईयर आपका टाइम 10% कम हो रहा है एडिटिंग पे, और आपको ये मेजर करना चाहिए क्योंकि वो 10% आप और चीजें बढ़ा सकते हो.
Correct.
Right? And like that, as many things. See, you can't replace this.
Yeah.
You will always have to be camera
ये
based.
हाँ, ये
लेकिन
podcast
everything else.
Correct.
Research, outreach,
Yeah.
sales, editing, packaging, marketing. How many things can you constantly do using tools and using good people and incentivizing them to reduce the time on you? That's also skill.
Correct.
Because वो लोगों को समझ नहीं आता कि उसका 5% shaved off here, half an hour shaved off here, 1 hour shaved off here. You can invest in yourself. You can invest in becoming better.
Correct.
You can invest in learning new skills.
Yeah.
Or you can invest in just chilling.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be growth.
Yeah.
Okay, invest in मैं आज रात को शायद आधा घंटा और सो जाऊंगी.
हाँ.
That's great.
Sure.
Because we all need that. Right?
Yeah.
So coming to my point, I think that I believe in the long leash philosophy.
Okay.
My team knows that they have a lot of autonomy. They always have. But if they screw up, if they mess up, ध्रुव है. लेकिन मेरा उनको बिलीफ है कि भाई आप ऐसे काम करो कि ध्रुव नहीं है, लेकिन उनको पता है कि एट द डे यार no matter how bad it gets, एक escalation call ना होगा. And I tell them that it's like now my Delhi team for many years now. I'm now there just there as a cultural mascot. I go there, I have fun with them. We talk about the future, we talk about the company, but they're running everything. And there's a 40-man team there now, and my
I've gone to your Delhi office.
Yeah, there's a buzz. It's a beautiful, amazing buzz. The leadership there is just rocking, and they're great guys.
You enter there, the vibe is different. Everybody is on something or other is happening.
Stock market चल रहा है हमारा ऑफिस में.
Lobby के gate के बाहर ही people are on calls.
वो सब दिल्ली वाले हैं. They're loud, they're obnoxious, but they're the most big-hearted guys you'll see. But that's the idea, right? So I think that to answer your question, when do you know you have to go? You'll never know. Because as human beings, we'll never feel कि अपने बच्चे को हम छोड़ सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको छोड़ना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अगर आप उसको माइक्रो मैनेज करते रहोगे, आप उनकी भी ग्रोथ को वो कर्व कर रहे हो, आप अपनी भी ग्रोथ को कर्व कर रहे हो. तो स्क्रू अप. What's the in life ना, मेरा सबसे one of my great mantras is what's the worst that can happen. जिस दिन आपने किसी भी सिचुएशन में पूछ लिया ना, अगर वो वर्स्ट का आउटपुट डेथ या किसी का या झूठ नहीं है तो there's nothing bad. डेथ और झूठ नहीं होना चाहिए, बाकी सब वर्स क्या होगा यार, एक डील नहीं होगी, एक क्लाइंट गुस्सा हो जाएगा, क्या होगा, कुछ ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, लेकिन उसका पॉजिटिव मतलब कैन बी you can create a new leader.
Correct.
And you can give them a career path, and you can open up new avenues for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing all this for, right? Ultimately, it's growth.
Growth.
And growth is not just bank balance. Growth is not just designation.
Yeah.
Growth is not. Growth is unlocking your potential.
True.
That's really growth. क्या आपका potential क्या है और आप क्या कर सकते हैं? मुझे वो उस चीज़ से मुझे बहुत obsession. मेरा potential अभी क्या है इस time पे?
Perfect. No, I think that's very well said, and I feel like you said at the end of the day, वो leash आपको you have to let go of that leash one day because आपको करना ही पड़ेगा as a leader. And like I always feel that building a business is a very different thing. Scaling a business is a different game altogether. And if you have to scale, you have to do it with the help of the team and delegating the task to the right people. Since we're speaking about collective right now, Dhruv, आप मुझे ये भी बताओ that at Collective Artist Network, you guys are managing talent across different niches, different market segments. And today, like you said, it's not just talent management per se. So मुझे आप ये बताओ that how is it that, I mean, I would be very curious to know from an audience perspective. Let's say I'm a creator or I'm a Bollywood celebrity or I'm an artist or a sports person or a thought leader. How is it that you as a company or your team decide कि इस niche में ये तरीके के creators या talent हम onboard करेंगे, and what process do you follow? And then how are you enabling their growth today? If you just give me like a use case या एक example अगर आप दे सकते हो, let's say a creator or maybe take my name or whatever just as an example. For example.
So first of all, I think there isn't a one size fits all when it comes to talent.
Correct.
A content creator like you has a different trajectory, a different मतलब आपकी requirements अपने portfolio में अलग रहेंगी. एक एक्टर या एक्ट्रेस या एक डायरेक्टर या स्क्रिप्ट राइटर, हमारे अलग अलग टाइप के क्लाइंट्स राइट टाइप पे बोला है. सो आवर क्लाइंट्स रेंज फ्रॉम half the Indian cricket team to some of the biggest content creators in the country, to the top 10 actors and actresses in Hindi cinema, to the top 10 actors and actresses in Telugu and Malayalam cinema.
So it's regional as well?
It's regional as well, right? We have very strong South presence, South India presence broken up by the different 4 markets, right? And we have top stars in each of the 4 cinema markets in the South, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada and Malayali, right?
Okay.
Malayalam. And then we have, for example, what we call behind the camera talent. So the top script writers, the top authors. Yes, absolutely. Because those are, script writers are the golden nuggets of everything you watch.
No, I have a question. Like, why would a script writer need talent management as such? I mean, while I understand, like, just curious to know.
Script writers and authors need talent management because, once again, it's a job of selling, marketing and packaging. If you understand the concept of putting a piece of audio-visual content together, fiction content, even non-fiction content, right? The art of writing is probably one of the most critical arts.
Yeah.
Because that's the core story.
Correct.
That is what has the arc. That is what captures people in. हर ब्रिलियंट मूवी जो आपने देखी है उसका कोर नगेट किसी ने एक या तो किताब लिखी है या किसी ने एक स्क्रिप्ट और डायलॉग्स लिखे.
Correct.
उस स्क्रिप्ट और डायलॉग्स को शेप और फॉर्म एक डायरेक्टर देता है. उस स्क्रिप्ट और डायलॉग्स को इनैक्ट एक एक्टर करता है. और उस स्क्रिप्ट और डायलॉग्स को फाइनेंस एंड ऑपरेशनली एग्जीक्यूट एक प्रोड्यूसर करता है. और फिर उस स्क्रिप्ट और डायलॉग को मार्केट एक स्टूडियो करता है.
Correct.
लेकिन कोर तो एक बहुत अच्छी पीस ऑफ राइटिंग है. अब उस पीस ऑफ राइटिंग को which is the kind of director who would be the best person to bring that to life? Which is the kind of actor who's looking to do that kind of work? Because
So you enable that as well?
Absolutely. And we enable that at scale for very many top writers and authors in the country, right? And there's a difference between an author, because there's a concept where you write a book.
Correct.
That book needs to be converted to a script.
Yeah.
So पहले core concept, पहले आप book की rights लोगे, आप वो author को represent करोगे, और book की rights की एक अलग deal होती है. फिर उस author को आप script writer से connect करोगे, वो script उससे dialogues बनेंगे. फिर वहाँ से आप देखोगे चलो अब इस space में what is the industry saying is the movie, what scale can that movie be made at? If it's a movie about a sci-fi, a world, then of course the scale is much larger.
Correct.
If it's a movie about a slice of life, a story, a romance between two people living in a village, that's a different scale. And the kind of directors and the kind of producers and the kind of actors and the kind of music composers who want to work on that kind of work at that stage of their life is very different. Right? So a top actor might come out of doing a fantastic sci-fi film which makes 500 crores.
Yeah.
But then he says, यार इसकी वजह से ना मैं आपको example दे रहा हूँ, मेरा connection to the
relatability with the
चला गया,
film.
तो फिर वो उस टाइप की स्क्रिप्ट ढूंढेगा, उस टाइप की स्क्रिप्ट किसने लिखी है? That's what our team will like. So the power I think of collective is that हमारी सारी टीम साइलो में काम नहीं करती, वो एक दूसरे से बात करती है, एक दूसरे से बात करती है, अच्छा what is your guy looking at? What is my producer looking for? What is my scriptwriter looking for? What is your financing client looking at? वो I think उसमें magic है.
That intermingling of
that intermingling of putting that content together is I think the secret sauce, and that can't be built overnight. That's built with, and even people have to trust, and people have to share, and people have to communicate, and you know that's the beauty of the content side of the business. So I think that so now to answer your question,
right.
Depending on your skill set and आपके हैसियत के दौर से आप किस काम में घुसे हैं, हम आपके करियर को उस टाइप से ले जाएंगे. जैसे एक स्क्रिप्ट राइटर को शायद एक्सटर्नल ब्रांडिंग की इतनी जरूरत नहीं है. एक स्क्रिप्ट राइटर को बहुत जरूरत है कि वो टॉप डायरेक्टर्स से मिले, उनका काम अच्छे प्रोड्यूसर्स के साथ जाके बढ़े, उनकी मार्केटिंग अलग होती है. एक कंटेंट क्रिएटर की मार्केटिंग है कि आप कहते हैं ना कंटेंट क्रिएशन में कॉन्सेप्ट है ऑलवेज ऑन, आप कॉन्स्टेंटली अपने ऑडियंस को कैसे ग्रो कर रहे हैं, कैसे इंगेज कर रहे हैं. तो कंटेंट एडवाइजरी आपके दौर में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. स्क्रिप्ट राइटर में मेरे को कंटेंट एडवाइजरी देने की जरूरत नहीं, वो राइटर है, उनको कंटेंट बहुत अच्छी तरह समझ है, लेकिन हम उनको इनपुट दे सकते हैं कि यार पीपल आर लुकिंग फॉर दिस काइंड ऑफ वर्क, या अगर आपने अपने स्क्रिप्ट को शायद थोड़ा ऐसे ट्वीक कर सकते हैं तो शायद देयर बी अ बेटर टेकर, बिकॉज हमने देखा है कि वो टाइप ऑफ मूवीज चल रही है. कॉमर्स भी होता है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंटेंट ये, तो हम समझते हैं कि हर टाइप के टैलेंट के लिए अलग चीज जरूरत है. एक स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन को मैं अपने क्रिकेटर शायद को नहीं बोल सकता कि आप कवर ड्राइव कैसे अच्छा खेले, यार आप कैच अच्छे अच्छा पड़े, भाई उनको पता है. लेकिन कॉर्पोरेट की दुनिया, इन्वेस्टमेंट की दुनिया, ब्रांड बिल्डिंग की दुनिया, उनकी पीआर, उनके लिए वो चीजें बहुत क्रिटिकल हो जाती है. बिकॉज हमारा काम क्या है कि अगर आप कैमरा फेसिंग टैलेंट है तो आप बस अपने टैलेंट पे फोकस कीजिए. बिकम अ बेटर क्रिकेटर, बिकम अ बेटर बैडमिंटन प्लेयर, बिकम अ बेटर एक्टर, become a better dancer, become a better spokesperson, become a better, with a better work on your physical body. इन सब चीजों पे हमारा कुछ रोल नहीं है. I can't, I certainly can't tell someone how to get 6-pack abs, but whilst they're doing that, I can focus on the business and say, let me handle all of that. So as you'll understand, these are the kind of things we'll do, and every single talent has a different. That's why our talent in Connective, they have teams. It's not one person representing one person. There are teams that represent things. So there'll be a specialist for sales. There'll be a specialist for brand and PR. There'll be a specialist for live, which is live experiences. There'll be a specialist for, if you're that type of talent, merchandising and licensing. कि आपका brand कैसे extend हो सकता है. तो हर talent की अलग requirements होती है, हम वैसे teams बनाते हैं. बस.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dhruv. And I think it's so rightly said that depending on obviously what outcomes you want and what you're exactly doing, there has to be like a separately and a differently built strategy and different teams working on the talent and then helping them achieve what they want to from a larger picture standpoint. With that, you were also speaking about PR, obviously. And I mean, while there is not mostly good stuff to talk about it and people have a connotation associated with PR, I want to understand that when you look at PR for any talent, right, and obviously you enable that and it is needed, at times when, because you have on-screen faces as well and obviously larger Bollywood celebrities and big creators etc. involved, and there are controversies that happen at times, and then obviously there is PR crisis management, there is PR in general for a certain specific reason also that's done. आपका overall, I would say, viewpoint क्या है on PR in general, and how important do you think it is for any talent to grow from a career standpoint? How important is PR? And the second part of the question is, okay, if you're doing it, and because if you have to do it at some point, करना ही पड़ेगा, when there is a situation जहाँ पे for whatever reason there is a controversy, what is the best way to manage, PR crisis management? Because as an agency, I'm sure there would have been instances in 14.5 years जहाँ किसी talent के लिए तो आपने handle किया ही होगा वो case. So if you could share a little bit about this as well.
तो पहली बात ना, I think that PR, and you said it yourself, has a sometimes a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Right? But वो truth है कि ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. PR का actual meaning है आपकी personal brand building.
Correct.
Right? PR is not आपने कौन सा event attend किया. PR is not आपने आपका कौन से आर्टिकल में नाम आया. वो outputs है.
Correct.
द फंडामेंटल ऑफ PR फर्स्ट है कि आपकी ब्रांड स्ट्रैटेजी क्या है. अब हम बात कर रहे हैं ब्रांड स्ट्रैटेजी के दौर से आप बात करेंगे तो व्हाई आर यू बिल्डिंग अ ब्रांड. लेट्स पुट इट आउट वेरी सिंपल रीजंस.
ठीक है.
एक्चुअली दो ही रीजंस होते हैं. नंबर वन होता है कि आपकी दुनिया में आपका शेयर ऑफ वॉइस क्या है. तो लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं आपकी बात करूं, अगर आप एक पॉडकास्टर हैं और आप पॉडकास्ट बिजनेस लीडर्स के साथ पॉडकास्ट के स्टेज पे आप फोकस करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल बोल रहा हूँ, आप देखेंगे कि मेरे वर्ल्ड में कौन से और ऐसे मेरे लेवल के पॉडकास्टर्स हैं और उसमें मेरा शेयर ऑफ वॉइस क्या है. हाउ मच एम आई एंड हाउ एम आई बीइंग पोजीशनड इन दैट इकोसिस्टम. That is brand building, that is positioning. Now you may say, when I look at myself, I can measure subscriber base and engagement and those aspects, right? But there's one part of what is my brand perception?
Correct.
Now in that's your first measurability, which is to say कि मैं अपनी दुनिया में मेरा शेयर ऑफ वॉइस कितना स्ट्रॉन्ग है, कितना ग्रो कर रहा है. नंबर वन. दूसरी बात, एक ब्रांड का सबसे बड़ा पावर क्या होता है कि वो अपने कस्टमर कंज्यूमर को कितना अट्रैक्ट करता है. राइट? अपने आप. एक होता है कि आपने बाहर जाके आउटरीच करके अपने आप को बेचा. एक होता है कि अपने ब्रांड को ऑटोमेटिकली लोग आए. तो PR और ब्रांड बिल्डिंग का मकसद ये होता है कि आप और इनकमिंग क्रिएट करें. बस ये दो चीजें. That's the concept of all brands now, whether you are an actor, whether you are a creator. If you measure building your brand on these two parameters, it will simplify your life very simply, and then you have very clear roles to work on. So when we work on PR for our clients, we look at हम हर क्लाइंट को हम देखते हैं कि आपकी दुनिया में आप शेयर ऑफ वॉइस आप किससे कम्पीट कर रहे हैं और आप कहाँ पे हैं और आप उसमें how quickly can you get to a top ranking in that position, because we work with the best. So how can we get you to work and we help to grow people to the best. So how do we get you to reach that agenda? And then fundamentally while working with talent, monetization, commerce is very important. उसकी वजह से आपको कितने incoming inquiries आ रहे हैं. बहुत सिंपल है. तो पहले तो that's how you should position. Now for that you have to be seen at certain industry events. You have to be speaking at certain places. You have to do certain things. That's all part of building the brand, and that's the strategy that your team will put together and then execute point by point. It's a very it's actually a science. और लोगों ने इसको एक बहुत ही bastardized, pardon my term, बहुत ही negative term दे दिया है, लेकिन ये है नहीं. And I think it's a very critical tool for anybody who's building a public persona. Right? Number one. Number two, crisis management. Right? I think कि crisis management का एक तो एक अलग podcast कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर मैं बहुत simply बताऊँ धैर्या, crisis management का मेरे को सबसे बड़ा critical takeaway हमेशा लगा है कि आप अपना narrative control कर सकते हैं कि नहीं.
Okay.
अब वो नैरेटिव अच्छा हो, बुरा हो, आपको और क्राइसिस में डाले. क्राइसिस ऑफ कोर्स आइडिया तो है क्राइसिस निकालना, लेकिन क्राइसिस का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं है कि ऑफ कोर्स आपको रेपुटेशनल डैमेज होता है या आपके बारे में लोग ऐसे सोच रहे हैं कि आप गलत सोच रहे हैं या सही सोच रहे हैं और आप सिर्फ छुपाना चाहते हैं. लेकिन असली बात ये है कि आप अपने नैरेटिव को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं कि नहीं. आपकी जो वर्जन है, आपकी जो कहानी है उस क्राइसिस में, वो चीज बाहर लाना is one of the most critical aspects of dealing with a crisis.
Correct.
And every time that I have been in a position to try and advise a talent on a crisis, my agenda is always कि सबसे पहले तो सारा crisis में बहुत noise हो रहा है. बहुत clutter होते हैं, lots of clutter. पहली चीज तो सीधे मुद्दे की बात पे आओ. ये crisis actually क्या है? ये is this affecting your reputation? Is it affecting your work? Is it affecting your ego? Because sometimes it's ego. Is it affecting? Because आज के डेट में क्या है कि because of the internet and because of social media, every single molehill is about it. मतलब कुछ molehill रहता नहीं है और छोटी सी चीज आग लग जाती है. Thanks to the beautiful thing called Reddit, तो आज के डेट में ना everybody is screwed all the time. Let's be honest, right? And as a much older man, I politely laugh at some of the crises that I see around me. मतलब crisis है नहीं, लेकिन for my 23-year-old client, it is a crisis for her or for him because उनकी life में अभी वो बहुत बड़ी चीज है और मुझे I look back and be like, भाई, what's the worst that can happen? But I have to balance that out and say, we'll figure it out. So my first thing is declutter.
Okay.
Remove the noise. Sit down calmly, and I love using. I still write a lot.
Okay.
So pen and paper. Sit down and look at what are the short-term repercussions, long-term repercussions of what have happened. Cut straight to the most critical people that have to be addressed with the narrative of what needs to happen.
Yeah.
If it's a more private crisis, if it's a public crisis, studying the narrative of what is happening. If it's happening on Twitter, if it's happening on Reddit, if it's happening on Instagram, if it's happening in WhatsApp groups and communities, then you have to first then figure out, okay, what is my narrative?
Correct.
What am I saying in light of what the crisis has been? And the crisis can be different types, right? It can be that something scandalous has come out about your personal life.
Yeah.
It can be that you have said something which has been taken out of context.
Yeah, correct.
Right? These are the
That
categories
happens every now and then.
Those are all aspects where you have to control the narrative. And again, on the flip side is that thanks to social media, you have the ability to put out that crisis. But how you craft it, what you say is something which is very important. I still believe, and people debate this, is that I believe that authenticity and honesty still wins all the time.
It does.
Because you can be your most honest version. अगर आपने screw up किया है ना, तो आप accept करके move on करो. Life में वो हमेशा आपके लिए ठीक रहेगा. जब भी झूठ बोला है तो लोग फंसे ही, तो कहीं ना कहीं वो बात बाहर आ जाती है. लेकिन perhaps there are intelligent ways of telling the truth which don't light the flame further.
Correct.
ये आज के डेट में virtue signaling, gaslighting, hyper extension of issues which are not there. ये बहुत चीज़ है. और मैं तो सबसे पहले बहुत टाइम में मेरे क्लाइंट्स को बोलता हूँ कि भाई आप ना अपने सोशल मीडिया बंद कर दो, आप रेडिट बंद कर दो, आप अभी के लिए एक दिन के लिए इंस्टाग्राम बंद कर दो. हम स्टडी करते हैं क्योंकि आपको और वो आग लगेगी. हम पढ़ेंगे तो हम तो डिस्पैशनेट रह सकते हैं. हम पढ़ के स्टडी करके देख सकते हैं क्या है, एंड देन वी कैन कम बैक टू ऑब्जेक्टिव एनालिसिस. बिकॉज क्या होता है कि अगेन बिकॉज ऑफ सोशल मीडिया एक पोस्ट पे 20 कमेंट आ गए तो हमें लगता है कि वो लाइफ खत्म हो गई. भाई तो it's not something to get so worried about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm generalizing where it's at, but I think the most important thing in crisis management is मेरा एक बहुत simple as someone who's been through some pretty public crisis myself, I have a concept that has really worked for me. मैंने coin किया था कि एक होता है crisis में दो चीजें होती हैं, crisis within, crisis without.
Okay.
Crisis within और without का मतलब क्या है कि crisis without is everything that's happening in the outside world and how you have to affect it, which is the examples that I've given you the strategy of how to affect it. Crisis within होता है कि आपके सबसे inner circle में वहाँ पे is there distrust और वहाँ पे is the insecurity वहाँ पे. So for example in my own personal crisis, my crisis within was no crisis. My family and my friends were very aware that they know who the real Dhruv is. So I had no problem at home and my friends, everybody is behind me.
Right.
All my crisis was outside. So I was able to wake up every morning knowing कि भाई मेरा core strong है, मुझे बाहर की दुनिया को sort करना.
Correct.
Now I'm not a public figure, so my situation might have been relatively would have been different and easier. But I asked my clients the same thing, that is there a problem in your crisis at your core? Are you questioning who you are? Are your ethics or values, have they been broken? फिर वो एक अलग कॉन्वर्सेशन है, पहले उसको सॉर्ट करना है. पर अगर क्राइसिस इंटरनल कुछ नहीं है और आप आगे कैसे हो तो हम स्ट्रैटेजी का देखते हैं. एंड आई स्ट्रांगली बिलीव कि अल्टीमेटली लोगों के पास इतना टाइम नहीं है. आप उसको ज़्यादा टाइम या एफर्ट दोगे तो वो और फैन या फ्लेम होता रहेगा. इंटेलिजेंटली अपने नैरेटिव को कंट्रोल करो, इंटेलिजेंटली सोशल मीडिया और अपने रिसोर्सेज को एक्टिवेट करो कि आपका नैरेटिव आ जाए. इंटेलिजेंटली उन लोगों से बात करो जो आपके स्टोरी को एम्पलीफाई कर सकते हैं, आपकी अच्छाई नहीं. Right? Because that also the internet will see it. The moment you try to engineer it too much ना, फिर लोग बोलेंगे भाई तू उल्लू मत बना. बैठ जा, हमें पता है तुझे तू बकवास है.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, and I know it's crisis management is also a science.
It is.
You have to figure out where it's and the human being plays a big role. Because again we're dealing with human beings. It's not like आपको एक चॉकलेट बार में वर्ब मिल गया, तो उसका क्राइसिस मैनेजमेंट बहुत अलग है, राइट. बट उसमें आप किसी इमोशंस को डील कर रहे हैं, आपको अलग चीज करनी है. यहाँ पे इमोशन में डील कर रहे हो तो द पर्सन आल्सो हैज अ लॉट ऑफ things to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some of my playbooks.
Got it. Very interesting. And I think, yeah, again, very rightly said that, like you said, first, the main criteria is to understand that what is your narrative and your version of the story and what you are going to put out, and how clear are you with the fact that this is in place and this is what I believe in and this is what my part of the story at least is. And that should at least stay consistent and constant throughout. Very interesting. With that, Dhruv, we've seen this, I don't know, it's not a trend or whatever, but agar aap creator economy ko dekho and then you look at Bollywood and the entertainment industry, there's this beautiful marriage happening today in a manner wherein the two worlds have collided completely and they intertwined today, right? You see so many Bollywood celebrities, when they want to promote any of their movies, they are collaborating with influencers, doing these fun, reels, challenges. Podcasts today have become a great way to talk about. I mean, I would be surprised if, this was not true, but it is. I think the last 2-3 movies that were coming out, I've gotten to know about their release through watching podcasts of my, let's say, favorite podcasters. Ki wo podcast pe the guesters come and the Bollywood celeb is like, we have a release. With all of this happening basically and the ecosystem going a certain way, and because you interact with both sides, मुझे ये जानना है कि how much of the content creation world do you think has rubbed off on Bollywood and the opposite? And do you think, because I feel Bollywood celebrities have kind of adopted to content in a much better fashion than vice versa, because today every top leading celebrity that you can think of does have a YouTube channel and is vlogging, right? And is capitalizing on the content and coming on cinema too, obviously in the big theaters. So what do you think about this entire situation? Like, how are they able to capitalize on the fact that content be up karna and it has to be a part of everything else in being in the cinema?
Yeah, I think that if I specifically talk about the cinema industry, I think that एक तो वो again वो relationship evolve हो रही है, and I don't think it's again one size fits all.
Correct.
Right? You have talent who are not on social media. You have talent who only come on social media and create content during the time of a release. You have talent that enjoy putting their world out there and want to be highly consumed, whether it's their personal life, etc. I think that what has happened is that the cinema world, let's just say the actors on the big screen and the actors on the OTT screen, I think that there's been, you can't ignore creators and what they do today. I think there's been a lot of appreciation to understand that day-to-day consumption of content, there's no doubt that creators play a huge role in that. And you have to understand that आप एक ही फीड में अपने टॉप एक्टर का अपडेट भी देख सकते हो और फिर आपके फेवरेट पॉडकास्टर का भी अपडेट देख सकते हो.
करेक्ट.
तो द फैक्ट द मैटर इज कि आपको अगेन वहाँ पे किस टाइप का नैरेटिव या किस टाइप का स्टोरी टेलिंग आपको करना है. इट इज अल्टीमेटली व्हाट आर ऑल creators, and here I'm also talking about actors here, are also creators because they're creating content.
Correct.
They may not do it themselves, but they're playing a part, right? Yeah. Ultimately, they want to grow their audience. That's the core. From that growing of audience comes everything else. So I think that there is a very nice marriage that's happening because आप ऐसे सोचो कि दो चीजें, podcasters and information providers are the new journalism.
Correct. It's the new age media.
It's the new age media. Journalism is very truly, traditional journalism is almost dead.
Dead, yeah. It's almost
right? Because
dead.
nobody wants, because the thing is, the problem with journalism is that everybody feels there's an agenda. Right? When you're talking to an individual, I know that the agenda is purely for you to grow your audience. There's nothing backing this where you have to, go out and sell a story to somewhere, and that there's a certain safety there. So top actors in the country are preferring to go on podcasts today because controlling the narrative. Right? And they can believe that the person who's trying to talk to them is doing a certain way. That's also a matter of trust. The day podcasters become highly capitalized, that will also start to become a problem. So the guys who stay independent, at least from the outside, and maintain that will be the ones who end up winning, right? And ones who end up growing at scale. So I'll say that I think, coming back to the first point, I think that the marriage is beautiful and it's happening because this is where consumption is taking place. Creators are undoubtedly driving quick fire entertainment. They're driving, I would say, there's the pyramid of the funnel. So big time celebrities who are on the big screen and OTT, they're driving awareness building because they're reaching out to more people because their content also has that kind of potential reach.
Yeah.
They're coupling that with social media for relatability, right? Creators are high on relatability.
Yeah.
They want to build their brand perception to be able to grow their audience, etc. So the two are coming together to leverage off each other in an exciting way.
Yeah.
And organizations like mine, and we're the only one to do it at the scale that we do it.
Yeah.
I think we're also learning and navigating and really enjoying that collaboration process.
Right.
To make sure that what you don't want is, you don't want one to just become a marketing tool.
Yeah.
You don't want the other to just become an aspirational tool.
Correct.
You want there to be a marriage of both without either of them losing each other.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the mergers of the worlds will happen. Ultimately, there's only so much content you can watch.
Yeah.
So there's a time and role to play for everybody.
Right.
I think that for creators, it's very important to be self-aware and work towards the path they want to go to. For mainline, traditional, hardcore creator celebrities, in sport or in Bollywood, etc., I think it's about understanding that the pulse of the youth, especially, is something that I don't think anybody understands better than creators. So I think there's lots of these little learnings that you can take from how creators. Like my favorite example of creators is they are the greatest marketers in the world because उनका feedback loop 10 मिनट का होता है.
Yeah.
Right? Feedback loop 10 मिनट में आपने content डाला, आपको 10 मिनट में पता लग गया भाई ये ऑर्डर है कि नहीं.
Correct.
और उसका insight और उसको एक किसी चीज में बदलना and be able to tweak that.
The leverage is very good.
It's a skill that अगर वो कभी किसी किताब में किसी ने वो स्किल को लिख दिया ना, it's the world's best selling book.
Yeah.
Right? But it's an art and a science together. That's what we all are learning from. Right? वो छोटे से instance को कैसे आपने viral बनाया, लेकिन वही है. The flip side to that is that how much of a staying factor does that have?
Yeah.
And that's what the creator economy's biggest challenge is right now.
True.
Everybody wants to figure out more staying factor.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where I believe, and that's a separate conversation, is where I believe building IPs around you, creating longer format content,
Correct.
Collaborating really extensively so that you grow your audience with like-minded or not like-minded creators in different fields, so that your relevance and your storytelling doesn't end. Right? I only work with creators that want to tell stories and want to get better and better in their craft. The way a creator comes in and says, "Bhai, मुझे तो सिर्फ पैसा कमाना है ना," I'd be honest with you, 9 or 10 times you'd probably say no. Because I don't see any vision in where that's going. I want to see your vision. I want to see, ultimately, you have to tell me where is it that
But
you want to go.
fundamentally, making more money or making money out of it, I'm sure is one outcome everybody would have. Right?
Of course, we have to make money. That's very critical. But how you do it is very important. If you just say, किसी भी तरह मैं बस ना हर रोज बैठ के ऐसे वायरल कंटेंट बनाता रहूंगा और मुझे बस इसके पैसे चाहिए, it will run out at some point.
For sure.
If there's not a bigger picture to where this wants to go, if you don't have it, see, I'm not saying you won't be successful. I'm just saying I'm not your partner for it.
Yeah.
Then there's somebody else who will hustle that, who wants just the money, make their cut and move on. My belief is that the creator economy has to become a serious economy.
It has to be an economy.
We need, for example, at least 20 or 30 creators to hit the big time and be seen as national faces that are respected, not out of Big Boss, with all due respect. Not out of some of these things. We need national creators to come in and who are actually creating impact. It's why what the PMO did, which was so amazing, and
the
some
National
National Creator
Creator
Awards.
Awards.
That is a legitimizing of an incredible industry.
It's such a beautiful way
thing.
to,
And you see some of the work that's coming out.
True.
Let me tell you, no other industry can do the infotainment, the education, the learning of our history and culture, knowledge and awareness of politics, the kind of stuff that young creators are doing.
Yeah.
Right? The kind of work you're doing. You don't have imagined this when I started in this industry, but this is the future.
Right.
So I feel like, it comes back to my core point, if you don't have a vision for yourself, I'm not saying you should have all the answers.
Correct.
But you have to want to do something more than just make an Insta reel that goes viral every week.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what is the story you want to get.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to ultimately get? At 23, 24, maybe you don't have that answer, but you should want to have that answer.
For sure.
If your answer is I want money, then I'll be like, bro, great. Maybe, there's somebody else to get there. We can help you sell, but we're much better at selling if we're selling a vision. Right? If you're just selling a commodity, you'll sell it for a bit and then it'll lose its value.
Yeah.
But you're selling a brand, people want to be attached to a brand.
For sure.
And that's my always belief.
Yeah. Perfect. And I think, thank you for again answering that so beautifully, whether it was obviously about the PR factor and the crisis management and everything that you also shared about how you go about ensuring that, every talent that you're onboarding is essentially at the end of the day, not just somebody who is wanting to make money, but how they make money is more important and how you can enable that growth.
Yeah.
Right? I think since we spoke a lot about the creator economy, Dhruv, and I obviously spoke to you about talent management and what you're doing on that front, tell me a little bit about the fact that when you look at creators, and I'm sure you have one-on-one conversations, not very regularly, but with some of the talent in terms of creators who you guys are managing as well.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're the top ones in the economy right now. What do you think can a creator do differently today to be able to grow? Because I'll tell you what, I wouldn't say it's saturated as an industry, but मुझे लगता है आज के डेट में ये बोलना that I'm a creator is also something that's just like हाँ okay fine cool, because हर दूसरा तीसरा इंसान बैठ के फोन लेके वीडियो बना सकता है, right? So if you go to look at it very technically at the ground level, every other person is a creator, right? So आप कैसे, how do you ensure that when you are, let's say, onboarding creators at least, that this is the kind of creator we can rep, we would want to have them on board? And I also want to know if you have any personal favorite creators. If I talk to you, who's your favorite creator?
I'll be getting into it. But if I give personal creators, because I have a few.
Yeah, maybe you can name a few of the ones that you enjoy consuming content of as an audience, not as Dhruv, founder of Collective Artists Network, as an audience.
Yeah, no, I'll try and think about that. Take those names carefully. No, but to answer your first question, I think how to work with creators and what they can do to grow.
Yeah.
I think that पहली बात तो Dhairya, it's a challenging space. There are a lot of creators. I'll be honest with you. What we look for is, like I said, have a vision for yourself.
Yeah.
Number 2 is stamina. Be prepared that you want to do this for the long run. If you want to do this for 2 years, then bounce. I'm not here for anything short term.
Yeah.
I want people to be married to their careers and their lives to grow. What you have to understand is that this is something I've spoken about a few times. A creator right now, I believe कि अभी हम creator को भी एक बहुत narrow funnel से देखते हैं. हम बोल रहे हैं कि आप LinkedIn में content create करते हो तो आप एक LinkedIn creator हो. आप Instagram पे reels create करते हो funny content तो आप एक funny comedy creator हो, slice of life बना रहा है.
ठीक है.
मेरा belief actually ये है कि आपका जो skill set है, फंडामेंटली क्रिएटर क्या कर रहा है, वो फीडबैक लूप समझ रहा है, वो मार्केटिंग समझ रहा है, वो कंटेंट समझ रहा है, वो कम्युनिटी और ऑडियंस बढ़ा रहा है, एंड दे आर मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली अंडरस्टैंडिंग हाउ टू गेट अ कॉन्वर्सेशन गोइंग, इवन इफ इट्स अ surface level conversation or a deeper one. And now let's look at who are the people that require this skill the most in life. Corporate advertisers. And let's be honest, 90% of the creator economy outside of YouTube, which pays the top 0.1% well for their subscriber base, but even that's a very small percentage. Outside of that, 90% of the creator economy is driven by advertisers.
True.
So my big belief is that the next leap that's going to come is that there's going to be a very strong marriage between advertisers and creators. You're going to find more creators investing in startups. You're going to find more creators who will be given roles like chief community officer, chief content officer. See, it will start to happen. We'll start to see that they will start to sit in boardrooms.
So you are saying corporates and MNCs will assign creators?
100%. Right now, they're appointing creators only for tactical jobs. But
Correct.
as creators grow and as they become a little bit more mature and as they build systems around them, top companies will come and they will come and say, "Yaar, can you help us build our LinkedIn strategy? Can you help us build our YouTube strategy?" It is coming. There is I will not be surprised if somebody like a LinkedIn launches a creator-only job portal. And I'm giving an idea out for free because something I've wanted to do for a very long time. It's going to happen because those creators come with certain skill sets and a community and a distribution that you cannot hire for.
Yeah, you can't. You can't outsource that.
The best IIM graduate can't compete with the creator on that skill set. The best IIT graduate cannot build an app and build the community that people have got done. Right? And I believe that it's just a matter of time. Like today, I'll tell you, if I was to hire someone for a marketing role, creators don't want to be tied into one thing. So you'll never get like a full-time employee just doing one thing.
Right.
But even as a consultant, right? If I find the right mix and they understand my brand and they understand my world, plus I would hire a creator in a heartbeat, self-driven, knows how to build distribution, knows how to do content,
Yeah.
knows how to build community, knows how to deal with crisis, knows how the technicals ins and outs, knows how to potentially build a team.
Yeah.
क्या चाहिए? और at 25 years of age,
Yeah.
they're doing that.
Yeah.
Right? The only trouble is that they're probably making money more than their fathers made at 50.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You've got to pay for good talent.
Right.
So I believe that that's a way, and that's one. The other thing that's going to happen is, and I've mentioned this a couple of times too, is that creators are still thinking about their potential in a very linear way.
Anyway, yeah.
My belief is that, and I'll try and give an example, right? Imagine you're a creator that does phenomenal art and design.
Okay.
आपको शायद लगेगा कि यार आर्ट और डिजाइन में ना मेरे को शायद 4-5 इंडस्ट्रीज है जो बहुत से हुई मोबाइल हैंडसेट्स पे create case covers, maybe do a cool art and design from automobile industry.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that great art and design as a skill set applies to everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So my big belief and my big advice to creators is don't think transactionally. Go out and work for experience. Go out and work for building relationships. Don't make it your all thing. Let's say you do 5 things for a commercial reason in a month. One thing do to build a new relationship. True. And go and offer yourself to the industry saying, let me help you. Like let me give you an example live if you're comfortable.
Sure,
right?
sure.
You've built a very strong LinkedIn community.
Yeah.
पता है सबसे चैलेंजिंग ब्रांड बिल्डिंग किस कॉर्पोरेट्स के लिए होती है? B2B कंपनीज में.
Right.
कोई गद्दा कह नहीं करता उनके बारे में. आप किसी कंपनी के बॉल बेयरिंग कंपनी हो और आपको बॉल बेयरिंग में दूसरी कंपनी से बात करनी है. Nobody cares about you, but people do care. Because why? Many of those companies are publicly listed.
Correct.
They have to have storytelling.
Yeah.
Their leadership has to speak about how they're creating jobs,
yeah.
how they're doing interesting things, how there might be शायद वो अपने सप्लाई चेन में कुछ ऐसा इनोवेटिव करे जो एक्साइटिंग है. लेकिन कोई किसी 55-year-old CEO के corporate board report को नहीं पढ़ रहा है. Outside of a few investors, nobody cares. But if someone like you was to go in and advise them and say, here's what I think you should do to flip your story then. Here are 4 podcasts you should be on.
Yeah.
Here are some things you should do about how you are bettering employee morale.
Yeah.
Here's what you are doing to build the community in your the village where you set up a factory.
Yeah.
इसका एक vlog बनाओ, इसका एक story बनाओ. बस आपने अगर एक B2B कंपनी के लिए कर दिया, 100 कंपनी आ जाएंगे 2 महीने बाद. कि आप प्लीज हमारे लिए करिए. So आप समझो ना non-linear thinking of your skill set.
Yeah.
And I think that is the future of the creator economy in a very serious way. But there are lots of other examples. आपने subscription formats खोल लिए हैं because the platforms are also working to fight ways. See, platforms, remember that everybody is working to make this more successful.
Correct.
Platforms also want to give creators more and more monetization ways to make it happen. So we're all working towards that agenda. But if you as a creator want to drive that piece, I feel that.
Well, I think that was very rightly said. And the last piece that you did mention about the fact that everyone at the end of the day is, doing things or coming up with ideas only to enable the economy further and for everyone to do better. But the fact that you said that you have to look at it in a non-linear fashion.
Yeah.
Do you also say that because ultimate truth, and this is what I believe in, might be controversial or whatever, I feel that as a creator, through brand deals या through just certain appearances या just through your face कुछ साल के लिए ही relevant, I wouldn't say, but उसके through direct money कमा सकते हो. That is my understanding. I feel sustainability of the career trajectory as a creator.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it has a shelf life, but my point is, do you also feel ये इसलिए important है because if you want to sustain as a creator beyond just an X number of years, like today, when you look at creators जिन्होंने 10-11 साल पहले YouTube किया था, today they are where they are and they are obviously reaping the benefits of it. But do you feel it's even the more important to, let's say, build IPs or let's say, like you said,
100%.
be strategic advisors or get into building creatorpreneurs that we have, right? Why creators are turning into entrepreneurs and let's say building businesses of their own, products of their own, doing things. Is it also because the core fundamental aspect of being a creator and just dealing with brands is only sustainable and viable till a certain point?
100%. I think that dependency on any one source of income as a creator is something that right now you can't see. Unfortunately, we can't be impractical about the reality of the business.
Correct.
90% of the creator economy is driven by advertisers.
True.
लेकिन again मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर आप हर साल अपने लिए गोल कर सकते हैं कि मैं हर साल या हर 6 महीने अपना डिपेंडेंसी एडवर्टाइजर रेवेन्यू पे 5% कन्वेंशनल एडवर्टाइज रेवेन्यू पे 5% कम करना चाहती हूँ. And a goal you set for yourself, there are avenues. Let me tell you, it's not like there aren't avenues.
Yeah.
But like with any entrepreneur, you have to take risks. You have to take calculated risks. You have to try different things.
Yeah.
If you look at the number of ways that a creator can monetize and build communities, some are immediate, some are long term. But fundamentally, you have to have the desire to build something which is sticky and long term.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example, right? It's something I'm doing right now, which I'm very, very proud of. And we'll announce this very soon, which is why I'm not taking names, but we represent one of the country's most respected art and design creators.
Okay.
Now, he has a beautiful life. He's in his mid-40s, multiple houses, 2 beautiful children, does not need to be a creator per se, but is so creative that uske andar itni aag hai कि he has to do something. And he gets a good 2-3 brand deals a month because he's at the best, they pay him very well.
Yeah.
But he doesn't in his, honestly, without investment, he doesn't in his sleep. He doesn't have to really kill. So, and the joke between us is that every time he and I meet, he says, yeah, the only fire in my life is you. You come in and you poke me and I decide to let's do stuff. So I was also thinking in the last 6 months, yeah, I can't be that constant driver. Let's think of something new. So what we've done, long story short, is we've identified a very exciting company that makes very high-end accessories and stationery and designers at their core. And we've got this creator to invest in that company. That company has made this creator the chief community officer. And this creator now, for the next 3 to 5 years, has a reason to wake up every day, owns equity in this company, will create content, won't get paid for it, but will get paid in the growth of that company. And hopefully, that company one day will do phenomenally well, and this creator will get output. But the most important part is, we've given this creator a reason to put more content out there, which also will hopefully benefit him. What's really exciting, which we'll share, is literally last week, we did not know this was going to happen, that company got invited by Shark Tank, and this creator was part of the pitch. So suddenly this company is going to go from being relatively unknown to now nationwide people going. And the fact that my creator was there and he's an investor and he's a chief community officer, it will give, and I want to do this for every one of my creators who has a subject matter expertise or who has a story to tell.
Correct.
Because that's the other world that's coming together. Entrepreneurship is at an all-time high in India.
True.
There have never been more people who want to create, and the creator economy is driving it. Because you guys are entrepreneurs. People who want to build business are also creators in their own right. They're also creating. Now, these worlds will come together.
True.
And also entrepreneurs are naturally younger. So they also understand your world a lot better. So that meeting of minds also will be much more critical and important. So बहुत चीजें हो रही हैं जो we have to be very positive about. It's just that stepping back and looking at things a little holistically as a creator is very important. And I think that's again where our job comes in, to give that right advice.
No, but this is super interesting, right?
I can't wait to tell you what comes out.
And I was just thinking of it at the back of my head. Who would have thought of these things happening just even like 2 or 3 years ago? I always, when I look at my trajectory also, to be very honest, never, it's so surreal to even feel that, being a creator on LinkedIn is even a thing, or it could be something. Right? I just literally think about that. So, but like you said, this is happening, and it's in action, it's moving, and this is happening, and that's what's going to take things ahead. But very interestingly with that, Dhruv, let me come to the commerce bit a little. In terms of obviously making money in this industry too, because obviously it is important. At the end of the day, जो मेरे audiences भी हैं who are watching this podcast, I'm sure you have aspirational actors or you have aspirational content creators watching this. From the commerce standpoint of it, I'm not going to ask you is it a viable career option or not, because people know that today it is a legit career option and you can become a full-time content creator. But I want to understand from you that for somebody, let's say, was just maybe built an audience of 10-50,000 odd followers on any of the platforms, not naming any, and they have a niche skill set. तो उनका एक niche skill set है, 10 से 50,000 follower हैं on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn or Twitter for all you know, or any other platform. And they also have, let's say, कुछ ideas हैं कि okay, इस skill set को कैसे, apart from just dealing with brands in that space, I can monetize. Let's say they have a skill and they can consult or they can do sessions or maybe build a course, वो सब है. But how viable do you think it is as a career option for the youth? And what would it take for them to be amongst the top 1% in their niche? Because today, what I feel is you could have 10 million followers, quite literally, but I've realized this that if not हर घर में, but people लोग आपको recognize कर रहे हैं या नहीं for the work that you do.
Yeah.
What is the brand narrative around you in the market? That not every 10 million subscriber person has, but a 10,000 follower person may also have.
Yes.
So how do you build that holistic growth as a creator, wherein you're actually at the peak, right? You're able to reach in that top 1% category, not just in terms of engagement and followers, but from an overall standpoint.
So I'll try and keep it very simple.
Yeah.
Number one, quality.
Got it.
Right? Focus all your attentions today on quality and not quantity.
Right.
10 million followers doesn't mean bugger all. Your engagement is much more important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two, my big belief is that there's three things. The second thing I would say is, in your head, flip the switch as a creator to constantly thinking about don't think about yourself first.
Okay.
Think about your audience first. And by thinking about your audience first, I mean every single day when you're waking up to create, think about how am I adding value to my audience. Now here I'm not talking about necessarily, let's say, comedy creators, etc. But if you're a fashion creator, if you're a beauty creator, if you're a LinkedIn creator, if you're a subject matter expert, you're a yoga and wellness creator, you're a finance creator. If you wake up in the morning and say, how do I create something which will go viral?
Correct.
I'm asking you to flip the switch and say, wake up every day and say, how do I give and put something which is of deep value to my audience? Now look at what that approach will change, right? Some people will say, oh, but that's the same. If I give value, it will go viral.
No.
When you want to create something that gives value, you have to spend a lot of time on research.
True.
You have to understand what is it that, what is my narrative, my vision, and in that, what is that people really want to know about? So, for example, if you are a finance creator, your great way to go viral is to go out and say, मैं stock market tips बताता हूँ, मैं कुछ सनसनी बताता हूँ, okay, ये नहीं करना है, वो नहीं करना चाहिए. As opposed to putting out something that says, young people today are debating between buying and renting.
Yeah.
Let me do deep research in the top 3 metros, or be even smarter. Look at my audience base and say, कहाँ से cities से आ रहे हैं? वहाँ पे मेरे को भुवनेश्वर दिख गया, वहाँ पे मेरे को इंदौर दिख गया. मैं क्रिएटर के दौर से सोचूंगा, बोलूँगा भाई मुझे क्या काम करना चाहिए, थोड़े से अगर पैसे हैं ट्रेन पकड़ के इंदौर चलते हैं, 2 दिन वहाँ बिताते हैं, रियल एस्टेट ब्रोकर से बात करते हैं, पूछते हैं कौन खरीद रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, कौन से एरियाज है, and then I'll come back and I'll make a vlog on that, and I'll say buy versus rent in cities of India outside of Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore.
Yeah.
Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, buy
Tier
rent.
3 cities.
So suddenly you're giving people very clear value. Now in that, I go back to one of the fundamental rules of building any audience. Forget million, forget 10 million, forget 100,000, forget 10,000. Are there 1,000 people that can be on a WhatsApp group with you or can be on a mailing list with you that follow your every move?
Right.
Just hit that.
Yeah.
Hit 1,000 quality. What people don't understand is it's not about 1,000. Because if you hit 1,000 and they are really locked into what you're doing, they will talk to another
1,000, exactly.
They will talk to another 5,000.
It's a ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
But you give those people such high quality that there is no denying that this growth is going to happen. And then when the growth happens, your problems will be different.
Right.
When you're a top 100,000 creator and you're doing that, then your challenges will be different. You'll be like, okay, how do I segment it better? But you're talking about people who are in that phase of early.
Yeah.
My constant belief is just create high quality. Now, having said that, there are lots of people who say, but how do I make money? This and that. Boss, no one said it was going to be easy. Just because you decide to become a content creator, nobody's coming and touching your feet and saying, thank you, Bhagwan, aap aa gaye. Jai Shri Krishna, aap hamare liye content banaiye. Kuch nahi. Nobody cares. You have to care for people.
Yeah.
You have to go in the service industry yourself. You have to service the people that are watching your content. You need them, they don't need you.
Yep.
They can replace you like this.
True.
So get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Understand this is the grind. You're an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, you are punched in the face and made to fall down every day. There's no difference in being a creator.
True.
The only difference is when you start to build audience and distribution, you have disproportionate value.
Correct.
Because you can charge serious money
Yeah.
for your time and effort.
True.
And again, my last input to creators is it's not about how much money you're making. It's about how effectively your time to money output is.
Yeah.
How much time are you putting in to make that kind of money and how much quality are you creating? Because when you create quality, A, it sets a certain benchmark for yourself.
True.
B, you know, you are creating something much more sticky, which doesn't last certain way. I mean, I've said this before, right? Imagine even comedy creators. I'm giving an idea out for free, right? Today, when you go to an Instagram page and there's a new creator you found and you love one reel, when you go to that Instagram page, you want to find more good content like that. How do you find it? There's no pinning of top content. There's no pinning of favorite content of that creator that you should want to watch. There's no way of seeing it.
Yeah.
If I was a cool comedy creator, I'd create like a simple website, or I'd create a simple tool, or I'd do something really cool where I'd say, I'm going to curate the top comedy content in one place where your favorite creators are all together, and then put that up for subscription. Because that work, somebody needs to do it, nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, there's no curation.
There's no curation. There's no curation of great slice of life, fun content. There's millions of things. You're all dependent on the search and the discovery feed on Instagram.
Correct.
What is somebody curated for you? And that went hyper regional. आपको सिर्फ मराठी content देखना है. मैं सिर्फ मराठी content के लिए आपके लिए एक बहुत cool ecosystem बना सकता हूँ जो मैं control कर सकता हूँ. उसका भी distribution बनाता हूँ.
Right.
That's what meme marketing pages are doing. That's what these guys are doing. That's a great way to build a certain sense of community. Then you want to take it to the next level. Do a meetup.
Yeah.
Get 4 of your friends
Offline.
together, get people together and do a meet and greet with them. You can again monetize that. You want to do a next level of it, do a stand-up thing, you want to do a next level of it, make a show out of it. Right? But it all starts with those first 1,000 people. How do you add value to them to what they want out of it?
Correct.
So care of your higher horse. Don't think just because you become a creator, everything's going to fall in your lap.
Yeah.
Don't sit and cry about algo and this and that. 1,000 लोग तो सब कर सकते हैं. 1,000 लोग को हाई क्वालिटी देना, अगर आप वो नहीं करना चाहते हो, कर सकते हो सब. अगर आप वो नहीं करना चाहते हो, आपको नहीं होना चाहिए.
आप कर ही नहीं सकते हो.
नहीं, मत करो. आपके लिए नहीं है ये. आपके लिए नहीं है. आप पहले 1,000 लोग से बोलो कि बॉस आप लोग, because simple बात है, if 1,000 people will know another 10,000 people, that's how it will grow. Those 10,000 people know the 10,000 people, that's how it will grow.
Yeah, but I also feel mostly लोग सिर्फ टॉप के लोगों को देख के they assume that क्योंकि इसने ये कर लिया मुझे भी ये मिल जाए.
But so silly enough, in
It's
life
very,
doesn't work.
yeah, that's
I can look at the top
works,
CEO
yeah.
and say, oh, he's also CEO, I'm also CEO, why is he making 20 crores, why am I making? But that's not how it works, no?
There's
The
no-
scale of what they're doing, you have to be real.
Correct.
Be real with yourself.
The reality check is where the
Reality check is
problem
very
is.
important.
Yeah, I agree.
That shit is very true. Yeah.
True. I think perfect. That's very interesting again. Dhruv, with that, let me very quickly also segue into understanding a little bit about your perspective in general about how much of, I mean, again, when you look at creators and the interactions I've had, a lot of times the personality, we spoke about authenticity, being true to yourself, आप जैसे हो वैसे ही रहो, and narrative and all of that. But I also feel, because I don't have that kind of exposure in the entertainment business, but with creators, what I have noticed most of the times is, again, I don't know if I'll get backlash for this, but 90% of the times, what you see on screen on reels or what you see एक वीडियो पे या जो आप पॉडकास्ट पे देखते हो एक इंसान की पर्सनैलिटी जस्ट द वे दे आर और द वे दे स्पीक versus when I have a sit down or a 3-hour conversation even with the top most creators in the country. Why is there such a big gap most of the times? I mean, I know you may not even be the right person to answer, but how much of reality versus strategy is involved even in the creator economy? Because I feel most of the times there's a lot of pretense. And I'm this person who just says it. I don't know how to maneuver my words in a more codified manner, but I don't know. I've always felt during my interactions that why is the authenticity also, why are you trying to be authentic?
Yeah, but okay, yeah, I hear you. But एक सिंपल सी बात बताओ, आप मेरे को बताओ, आप एक क्रिएटर को 10 रील देख के कैसे जान सकते? मैंने आपके 10 LinkedIn पोस्ट देखे, इसका मतलब मैं आपको जानता तो
नहीं जानते हो. हाँ,
मैं आपसे बात करूंगा तो मुझे पता लगेगा वो क्रिएटर फैशन के बारे में या they're hanging out and they're making cool fun content. That's not their full personality. True. That's maybe 0.1% of who they are, and that's something that they're putting out there, which when you're trying to entertain someone or you're trying to give infotainment or you're trying to educate or you're trying to do something, I'll take your example. What if I just turned around and told you, oh, I met you oh, but Dhairya, you seem like a very fun person. अभी LinkedIn से देखता बड़े बोरिंग हो. बोले भाई तेरे को LinkedIn से मेरा कैसे समझ आ गया कि मैं कितनी बोरिंग हूँ या कितनी फन हूँ. वही बात होगी ना जो. पर आपके LinkedIn देख के लगा oh यार बड़ी serious.
Very serious. Yeah.
So cannot judge, I think, a creator or a person on the basis of 10 reels. It's not their personality.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, if somebody is going out and talking sustainability, and then you're sitting and looking at them, and when you meet them, they're super inauthentic and actually are putting on a pretense. They're just not a good human being.
Yeah. True. As the fundamental level itself is
and they will fail because that reality will ultimately catch up with them.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying we should not build judgments on people basis their social media profiles because one, it is engineered. That is the goal.
For sure.
Authenticity comes with the fact of the matter that, let's be clear, you're saying authentic because their lives are closer to your lives. They may live in similar sized houses. They may drive similar sized cars. They may take public transport, which, for example, what's the comparison? Comparison is to movie stars.
Yeah.
That's not relatable because they're living a very different kind of life. Right?
Yeah.
But perhaps creators are living a life which is closer to yours in some shape or form, and hence their choices in life, material and otherwise, are maybe a little closer to yours. But they are also complex human beings who are putting a version of themselves out there. You'll never really know till you spend 3 hours with them.
True.
So I'm just saying, anybody who's in the business of interacting with creators, don't assume you know them till you spend time with them. I can say, some of the most confident creators that we represent, like you look at them, you're like, bhai, ye banda to matlab, he's like, he has king's confidence. When you meet them, their insecurities come out.
True.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right. Because so much of putting content and putting up a social media profile is projecting.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the world, right?
Yeah.
But when you meet them, the reality comes out. What I look for in people is I want to make sure that they are in their comfortable, honest, true sense, and I have to bring that out in them as well. I have to make them feel comfortable and confident being who they are. Right? And that has to come out. But if someone is being inauthentic, like in life, then just run away from them.
True.
It's simple, right?
I always do that.
Exactly.
I think that's the best thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But like you said, I feel till the time you don't sit down with that person one-on-one and have a conversation for at least 2 to 3 hours, it's very difficult to tell anything about
them.
You don't know them.
You don't know what problems they've been through.
For sure.
You know their background.
Yeah.
Give them a break.
Yeah, give them a break. That leeway should be there. Yeah. Okay. We are moving towards the end of the conversation, but I'd like to keep it going. We'll have a fun rapid fire segment towards the end as well, Dhruv.
Oh boy.
So yes.
Okay.
But I have 2 last questions for you before we wrap this up. I want to move to understanding as an entrepreneur who's been building something in this space for a while now, right? And you've built 2 very large organizations, and now there are different acquisitions that you guys are doing also, and the business is only growing by the day. And with the world changing, AI coming in, so many things taking the world by a storm in general, where are you envisioning, not just Collective Artist Network, but Bigbang Social also, which is the creator-led arm? Like, where do you see this going as a founder? What is the ultimate goal? Like, as of now, if not 5 years from now, in the next 1 or 2 years, what else would you like to do differently with respect to, over and above of what you're already doing at Collective Artists and Bigbang Social?
See, I think that for Collective, I think what is very exciting is that it still feels like day one, genuinely, because I think that the scope of popular culture and the scope of impacting popular culture is very, very wide. I think where we need to go truly is we will continue to expand our scope of working with really top talent.
Yeah.
We do see the world of IT and creating both online and offline experiences and reasons to build community as a very big focus for ourselves. So we will be investing disproportionate time and resources behind building more and more IP in which our talent will have a meaningful part to play, both in ownership and in execution.
Got it.
I think that for us, we will spend time thinking about how Indian content and Indian content and talent can travel internationally.
Yeah.
So we do have global aspirations to where this goes. And I think technology is something which can be very daunting.
Yeah.
But I think that for organizations like ours that have I think made some timely moves, I think we are going to embrace new technology and how it impacts talent and content rather than like we're going to be ahead of it as much as we can rather than wait for it to come to us.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's going to be very, very critical. We're already doing that in some version in AI with a couple of our recent acquisitions and some new work that will come out very soon.
Right.
So I think that's very exciting. And I think that lastly, it's something I said at the start. I really believe that we're all in the attention economy. We're all trying to grab people's attention. And attention has always been linked to, I think, very traditional forms. You get attention from celebrities and from movies and from sports and from music and now from digital creators. I believe everybody needs attention.
True.
Government initiatives need attention. Sustainable goals need attention. Non-government organizations need attention. The arts need attention. And by arts here, I mean traditional arts, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that Collective Artist Network is going to play a role to bring our capability and service and tools to anybody and everybody that wants to tell their story and wants that attention, should they be willing to spend the time and resources to make it happen with us.
Right.
So our scope is not limited to, I don't know, our talent, like maybe 2 years from now, or maybe sometime from now, we'll have a portfolio just representing business leaders and their growth. We might represent like the top traditional artists of the country because there's a completely new business model growing there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? It all depends on some bright person coming and saying, I see a opportunity here. And our big belief in Collective is that nobody works in a silo. It's a flywheel.
Yeah.
Everybody talks to everybody
Right.
because there's an opportunity waiting to get unlocked and sort of different verticals come together, right? So I think that that's in a nutshell, that's what a Collective's future is. It is an unending, boundless future.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate to be in that space. We say it very often. My partner says this very often. We are trying to build the Reliance for the entertainment ecosystem. We really look up to that organization and the flywheel that they have, and we will want to do something very similar.
Right.
And we are on the path to doing it. And that's what looks like. Bigbang Social is our creator economy brand.
Correct.
Right? It is our brand which will have a point of view on popular culture. We will give those stories out. Our talent will play a key role in it.
Yeah.
We will have a very strong tech play there. You'll have a very strong offline play there. And Bigbang Social will become undoubtedly one of the most respected brands in popular culture and content storytelling.
Correct.
Right? And that's what you can expect from us.
Great. I think I'm super excited for whatever holds in the future. And I'm pretty sure that we'll get to witness it really soon. And I'm sure that there's a lot of exciting stuff that you guys are going to do. And I'm glad to obviously also be associated and be a part of it in any small capacity, right? And for me. Yes. But okay, with that, Dhruv, one last question for you before we segue into the rapid fire. I think a lot of people today, like you said, we are aspirational to build things of our own and be entrepreneurs today, and just to create more value for the ecosystem in general. And the India story, as we call it today, is something that everybody is extremely proud of and talking about. And you're just seeing entrepreneurs cropping up from everywhere, right? For anybody who's watching this podcast, of you being an entrepreneur yourself, a self-made and a self-taught entrepreneur, you haven't gotten any MBA degree or learned business, so to say, from an institution, traditional institution, you've been doing it for 20 years and built multiple businesses. What do you think would be 3 solid pieces of advice for any aspiring entrepreneur or creatorpreneur?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think my advice would be centered around, I guess, 3 sides, right? There's the business itself. There's the self as an individual, and how to prepare for it. And there is, I guess, the third part of it would be listening to the self is perhaps a little bit about how I was seeing just the concept of building, right?
Yeah.
So business, my first belief is that, and I think it's been said a lot, but I'll be very honest, that surprisingly what I've learned of being an entrepreneur and building a few businesses and having the fortune to do it is that ideas mean nothing. Ideas mean nothing. Because the truth of the matter is that great ideas are a throw stone from here and I'll probably hit someone with a great idea. Everything is about execution.
Execute. True.
Everything is about execution.
Yeah.
So when you wake up every day and you want to build something, fantastic that you have a great idea, but trust me, there will be 100 other people who have the same idea or a similar idea. But the thing that sets people apart is their ability to execute.
It all comes down to that.
It all comes down.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think get ready to hunker down and be having an execution mindset. Of course, you have to think disruptive and you have to have an idea that believes, etc. And do your research on your idea and find the right white space, etc. And all of that. But I think my biggest belief has been execution, right? In anything that you do, whether it's how you take care of your people, whether it's how you recruit, whether it's how you build a business, whether it's, right down to when you come out of a concept meeting, the pace at which you operate to move that to execution. I think that's my first big advice, right? When it comes to the self, I would say that doing anything where you are, like there's this beautiful book by Peter Thiel called 0 to 1.
Yeah.
And he defines the journeys, and I'm super simplifying it, but there's a 0 to 1 journey and there's the 1 to infinity journey.
Correct.
Collective, for example, is on the 1 to infinity journey.
Yeah.
I think our first 5 years was the 0 to 1 journey.
Right.
Right? And with the 0 to 1 journey, you have to have a certain mindset where there is no concept of, I believe, whether you like it or not, you have to push the envelope. You have to, balance is not always going to be in your favor. Right? Try and find balance and harmony as much as you can, but life will require you, should you want to build something, to put in that extra bit, right?
True.
So I embrace that. But understand that I think to build anything is a marathon, right? It's a marathon in which at times you have to sprint. So look after yourself. Really look after yourself. And what that look after yourself means will be different for different people.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think I don't think every one of us will have as early stages will have the benefit of having a truly perfectly planned life. But if there are certain things that you have to do for yourself, which allow you to maintain balance and sanctity and look after yourself, make sure you do that. Whether that's relationship with your parents, whether that's being open to love, whether that's being open to maintaining your old friendships, whether that's just doing something you love that has nothing to do with your professional pursuit, a sport or music or learning how to stitch. Anything that takes you away from that, I think embrace that. And that would be my second thing. And I think the third piece I would just say is that what you said is really important. We are, as a country, in probably the most exciting time of India's history.
Yeah.
The entire world is rooting for us to succeed.
True.
We have very strong, stable government systems, touch wood, which are, there will be challenges. They will not be perfect, but it is a democratically elected, very strong governmental system. And you just look at what's happening around us. Look at Bangladesh, look at Pakistan. These are failed states falling apart. If India was a company of India, and our Prime Minister was CEO, let me tell you, there'd be a lot of things would be a problem, but there'd be a lot of things would be a big question mark as well, a big positive tick mark as well, right, of where growth is going as an organization, right, as a country. So I believe that it's your time. Like, embrace it. People want us to win. The mood, the capital, the opportunity, it's not going to be easy. It never is. But the time in the external environment is very nice. So anchor down and believe that if you put in the time and the grind and you take care of yourself and you really, there's enough gyan out there, right? But understand that the external environment is also in such a manner that there is opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Right? It's not holding you back. Let me tell you, you could be a phenomenal entrepreneur sitting in some parts of Europe right now. Tomorrow kuch nahi hoga. You'll have to be an outlier of outliers to do something crazy over there.
Yeah.
Right? Because those economies are going backwards.
Correct.
There's no produce, there's no agriculture, there's no trade, there's right-wing, hardcore right-wing governments. There's a lot of insecurity about immigration. But they're screwed.
It's honest.
Honestly,
Honest,
right?
yeah.
But India, we've dealt with so many issues for so many years. It's our time now where we have the population demographic in our favor.
Yeah.
We have the economic environment in our favor, and every one of our citizens have a role to play in growing our little worlds around us, so that the country can grow as a consequence. I know it sounds very gaggy, but I honestly believe this. I honestly
Yeah.
believe this. I've never felt more excited about being in a position to build something small but meaningful as we move forward, and that would be my advice.
No, likewise. I think it's a privilege, honestly,
Yeah.
to be right here at this time and to be able to witness it, right, and contribute to it in whatever manner possible. But I think those were some solid pieces of advice. I think the entire conversation, Dhruv, honestly has been like a playbook and a masterclass for me, at least, with respect to how the industry functions and what you guys are trying to build. I've gained a lot of insights out of it, and I really hope for every one of you who's stuck around till this point, you actually take back the learnings and kind of put it into action and execute on things rather than just obviously listening to a piece of advice and pondering on it. But with that, we're going to quickly segue into the rapid fire before we let you go, Dhruv. I would like you to be very candid with your responses.
Sorry.
The first thought that comes to your mind, ideally, is what I'd want you to, answer from a standpoint of, what we're looking at. So perfect, let's get started. I think the first question for you, Dhruv, would be that if you had to kind of pick between working more with, the entertainment and Bollywood actors in general, entertainment industry or the creator economy, which one would you pick and why? You have to, right? This one you have to pick one.
Well, right now, I would say creators because I've worked with. I'd worked
Really?
with.
I thought you'd say talent.
No. I've worked with talent for a very long time, and I continue to work a little bit with some critical talent of the organization. But yeah, I like creators because I think it's a whole new ball game. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now I would say creators.
Great, makes me feel good. Okay. Okay, the second question, Dhruv, tell me a little bit about what's been like, I would say, the most fundamental from a mentorship, guidance perspective. A few individuals, if you can name, who have played a very pivotal role in your life in shaping your career and what you've done. Any three people in your life.
So I mentioned, of course, my mother and my
Yeah,
wife. I think
yeah.
it's been a very key role. There is a gentleman by the name of Piyush Tiwari, who is an incredible man who was my kind of like my mentor, my senior. I got the opportunity of working with the IBF thanks to him.
Okay.
But I'm deeply inspired by him for a very long time because he went through a personal tragedy very early in his life and he converted it into an organization today that has transformed the country. He's one of the most, I think, underspoken but probably respected citizens because he runs an organization called Save Life Foundation, which has initiated a change in our law book to institutionalize something called a Good Samaritan law, where if somebody has an accident on the road and if the other person goes to help him or her, we didn't have a law that protected that person to help them.
Help them, yeah.
If something happened to that person, the person who was helping could have actually been put in jail.
Right.
The Good Samaritan law has protected those citizens, and he now works actively to reduce road accidents across some of the most critical road accident corridors in the country.
Wow.
And him and his organization have probably single-handedly impacted the GDP of this country with the road accidents they reduced.
Right.
And he was a hardcore corporate guy, building an incredible career, probably would have been a multi-billionaire in his own right on a capital front if he had continued that career.
Yeah.
But he chose to convert a deep personal loss into a complete action, and he's done it in a way that is so admirable. So I've always been very inspired by him. And lastly, honestly, I don't say this because it's my company, but Collective Artists Network really has some of the most incredible, talented people, I would say, on the planet.
Yeah.
Right? I wake up every day and I learn something new from my partners, especially my founding group.
Right.
So a lot of them play, advise, mentor. I learn a lot from them. So we're very lucky to have each other, and we're a group of about 8 of us. So yeah, that's my group.
Great, wonderful. Okay, so a question, Dhruv. When you look at money, fame, success, and reputation today, which one is the most important to you and why at this stage of your life?
Money, fame, success,
and reputation.
At this stage of my life.
Yeah.
Reputation number one.
Okay.
I guess success number two. Money number three, and fame number four.
Why is fame at the bottom?
Yeah, fame is fleeting. It's
Transient. Yeah, I was just going to say.
especially for me in my life. Secondly, I strongly believe agents have to be and should always be behind the scenes. I'll be very honest. I literally do like one podcast in year. I only do podcasts with people I like. I'll be very honest, not to sound obnoxious, but I get invited a lot. I don't do a lot. So I have conversations only with people that I like and would have a good conversation with. So
I'm glad.
So I think that's the secondary piece, and I think that honestly, if you have a great reputation,
Yeah.
and if you build something strong, fame by that point of view, I would
By
say
and large
fame-
would.
Yeah, I mean, fame is very superficial.
Yeah.
I do want the brand of Dhruv Chitgopekar to stand for something.
Yeah.
And more importantly, the brand of Collective Artists Network and all of our companies to stand for something.
Yeah.
I want them to have a brand, and if the word is what we're using is fame, yes, I do want fame for the work that we do,
Right.
and for us to be seen as the best organization in where we're at.
For
That
sure.
really matters to me, and I know that the rub-off effect of that is comes to every employee that works with us, right? For me, fame is, are you proud to tell your family you work
That
in
you work
Collective?
here, yeah.
And that for me is fame. That for me is a feeling of pride, and that's what I want for the entire organization that want to lead me to that.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Fourth question, Dhruv. If you had the chance to have a roundtable dinner conversation with any three people, living or dead,
Wow.
who would they be?
Oof. Okay, that's amazing. I think number one would undoubtedly be Michael Jordan. Just
Right.
pure excellence
Yeah.
at the highest level, and just to understand that, that killer mindset and probably have that conversation with him would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think number two would be, of course, Michael Jordan is alive, thank God.
Yeah.
I think number two would probably be there's a lead singer of a band called Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
It was a band that had a huge role to play in my upbringing. It's a heavy metal band, and the lead singer of that band is the guy who's practically disappeared off the face of the earth, kept a very low profile, but his name is Dak De La Roca.
Okay.
Right? And Rage Against the Machine was a seminal band because they were a rock rap group, if you could call it that, because their music was so transformational, but they wrote a lot about politics, especially American politics and socio-political
In their
agenda
songs.
in their songs.
Okay.
But at a musical quality that, you cannot even imagine how good they were. So I'd love to just sit and talk to him about the inspiration of how he wrote those songs, and probably just thank him for my upbringing and where and what
The pivotal role.
role it played, but
Yeah.
all my teenage angst coming out and all of that. I think that would be I'd love to have the conversation with Dhairya Decodes. And I think number three, thinking off the top of my mind, I'd love to be able to have a conversation with Christopher Nolan, man. Right? Just creativity at its most incredible peak, right?
Yeah.
Just some of the movies and more the movies are writing.
Writing.
And how he's thought of the concepts he has and where they're at. Just very, very, very awed by what he's created. So yeah, those would be my
That's super interesting, and I think it's the most diverse set of folks from such, I would say, polarly opposite industries, but yet again, folks who've done some incredible work in their own realms. Perfect. The last question for you, Dhruv. What do you think is that one skill that every single person must master, come what may, irrespective of who they want to be and what they want to do in life? Like, it's a must, not negotiable skill,
So
in your opinion.
I think learning how to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The art of selling.
Yeah. I had it. people think that you have to be very aggressive and extroverted and have to be a certain personality type to sell. I think the desire to selling actually is the desire to make someone else believe in something that you believe in.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that I would encourage every young person to develop that skill. At least have the desire to develop that skill. It can be in your own way. Selling just doesn't have to be, like I said, pitching to someone. It can be how well you make a presentation about your idea. It can be about how well you research on the people who might want to buy your idea.
Yeah.
It's all linked to selling, right? So if you can learn to love selling something that you're passionate about, and make that into a skill, it will last you for a lifetime.
Right.
So yeah.
I agree. I can't beg to differ.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's been a wonderful conversation. I've had a great time, Dhruv. Thank you so much once again for being on the podcast. I hope you had a good time as well.
It's been great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for everyone who stuck around till this point, do, I would say, execute on everything that you have learned as an outcome or learning from the podcast. And yes, I think that's it for this episode. I will definitely see you in a new episode very, very soon. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Dhairya Decodes channel, and thank you so much.